Good evening, Barbados. Good evening, the Caribbean. Good evening, the world. This is Marcia Weeks, and I am coming to you live from Barbados. This is a Marcia Week show. We are excited. We've been waiting all day for the show. I know you've been waiting all day from the show. My phone has been ringing off the hook. I wonder why. People were messaging me this morning from after 7, 8 o'clock. People said, listen, I can't wait for tonight. They were so excited. What's going on, Barbados? You want to tell me? We have to tell the world what's happening to us here in Barbados and why we were so excited to be on. Tonight, we want to give God all thanks and all praise and say, God, we thank you for everything. We thank you for life. And, I will never stop thanking God for life, for strength, for energy, for any kinds of success, right? That we're going to talk about a little earlier, a little bit of success. We're going to give God all thanks. We are always saying, thank you, God. Thank you, God. There's some of you, when you come on, you don't want me to say that, but I have to say that because that's my faith. And I give him thanks. I really, really do for all that he has done. Lucinda Allen, it's a beautiful day. Lucinda says, good night to the loyal opposition family. Blessings to all. Cecilia Miller, good night. Good night. Monica Inns, good night. Suspicious minds, always got the suspicion going on. They who are slaves to riches cannot be trusted with money. Wow. Yes, that's a powerful saying. Colin Roach, I haven't seen you in a long time, Colin. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I see you have quite a number of questions there. Colin, that tells me you are thinking, you have been all into it. We'll have a link there that you can use a link and come in at about 9:30 tonight, and you can share your thoughts, your views as it relates to the high cost of living. So, Colin, feel free to come in and to talk to us. Tonight, okay? And anybody else who wants to come on, Vernon Garnes, hello, Tamika Harper. You're looking forward to the session. What about the session are you looking forward to, Tamika? Exactly what? I know what some of you are looking forward, and we have that coming. We have some stuff that we're going to talk about. Of course, tonight we start off with we're going to talk about agriculture and high prices, and we're going to discuss with James Ball, who is like a voice crying in the wilderness, agriculture. So we're going to talk to James Ball tonight because he's going to take us all along that journey and analyze really if we had more agriculture, if we were involved in more agriculture, more tilling of the land, planting, reaping, etc., would that help us with our high cost of living? Yeah, I believe so. But he's going to break that down and probably give us just some examples of other countries, and I think it's important for us to hear that. Vihoy, how are you? Yes, 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 yeah. Hi, Ansel, how are you doing, Ansel? Oh, good, good, it's me. Good evening. Junie Rock, good evening. Zaire Campbell, good evening. And so we're going to Zaire tonight. We're going to talk about agriculture and high cost of living, but we're going to also look at the ruling or the by the arbiter, the Praise Academy arbiter, and we're going to discuss that a bit. There's just a lot that's been swirling around, and a lot of people are calling me and asking me questions and so on. And so we're going to seek to not necessarily, I can't answer everything that you see in the media, but I'm just going to tell you what I know is truth. Okay, and that's all I can do is to speak truth when I come on here, and I will have the receipts to show you. Okay, because I want, when I go to my bed at night, I can sleep. I know that I've done the right thing, so we're going to look at that case tonight. Caswell is coming on, even though he wasn't supposed to be on tonight. but we spoke today, and he's the right man to be on here tonight. And Caswell Franklin will be on to talk about the Praise Academy case and the rescinding of the arbiter's decision. And what does that mean, and why? Let's discuss exactly why he had to rescind the decision. Okay, and recluse himself from the entire case, etc. Why did that happen? So we're going to look at that, and then we'll just take a break to look at that. We're asking the question: Is the church really under attack? I know we have our Christians or people of faith. Are people of faith really under attack? Read their beliefs. Is it safe for someone of faith to really say what they believe? Can people of faith say what they believe? And are people of faith ready to stand up? Are Christians ready to stand up, or they're going to cower in silence? I want us to talk about that. Some of you might not be of the Christian faith, but you might be Rastafari. My Rastafari brother messaged me this evening, and they're in solidarity with us and the what's happening with Praise Academy, and actually calling for their brothers and sisters in the Rastafari faith to speak out more on these kinds of issues. Are they afraid to speak out for a particular reason? All of these things that's happening here in Barbados, and we have to look at it. How about the Muslim community? Are they afraid to speak out? Yeah. And Judy Jills, good night. And Judy's saying, reminding us to like and share, Well, we are going to go right into our national anthem tonight. And before we ask James Paul to join us, and I can see him already in the green room. Guys, are you sharing? It's going to be quite exciting. This is a really, really passionate topic that we're going to go directly in right now. And this has to do with more agriculture. Should we, with that, if we have more agriculture, a culture of agriculture, will it lower our cost, right? Will we deal with the issue of the high cost of living? All right, so let's go to our national anthem.
Right.
Barbados, tonight we write our names on history's page. Every night that we join, we are creating history. We are creating history because I tell you something, the powers that be did not expect that we'd be here. They did not expect this at all. They did not expect that they would have a show that would be on, 4 nights a week, 3 hours educating the people of Barbados. They did not expect that. Yes. And so I know we are, every time we come on, we're making history. So can you go ahead, guys, and share? Can you go ahead and like? Very important that you share and that you like. Please go ahead and do that. Well, let me just welcome Mr. James Paul to the studio. Good night, Mr. Paul.
Hello, good evening. Good evening, good night to you and your
Yeah.
viewers.
Yes,
Good
sir.
night.
Yes, sir. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you know anything about Mr. James Paul, he's Mr. Agriculture himself, and he's passionate about agriculture. And this is something that he wants to see get off the ground. Mr. Paul, can you remind us, please, of what is your role in government right now?
I have no role in government.
I am so sorry.
I have no role in government at all.
What is your role? Where
Okay.
yeah, just give us a little, just
I'm the Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Agricultural Society.
yes.
I represent farmers' interests and
Yeah,
farmers' issues, and the job of the society is to promote the development of agriculture and, of course, all things related to agriculture. So that's our main focus.
that's what you do. Yes, yes. Somebody's saying here um that you are a great teacher. Hi, Mr. Paul.
Hello. Thank
Oh,
you.
yes, sir. So we have been discussing on the show about high cost of living. And when we heard, when we opened up the airwaves and people came on, it was, I mean, really, really shocking, some of the stories that we were being told. So let me just tell you a little bit of it before you go into agriculture, because we have to see how it connects with all of what we're experiencing. We found out on the show that there were people who were just cooking on Sundays. They couldn't cook any other time, no other day in the week, just Sundays. And that food will last till about Tuesday or Wednesday, and then they just nick snacks for they just eat whatever they can for until the next Sunday. This is what I'm being told on this broadcast here. I'm also being told that that there is in the supermarket that they are parceling out food, very small quantities. And I heard Caswell on this show said somebody, he saw someone went to a shop and bought $1 worth of flour. And I don't know Mr. Franklin of making up stories. Miss McLean told me that she went to the supermarket, Mr. Paul, and she saw that there were 2 pieces of chicken in a bag that were being sold. People talk of people going to the shop and they buy 1 onion
Mhm.
and a Maggie cube and some macaroni. People talk on here, we have some millennials on, and they said, well, what most of them can afford to do now is they can't rent a full, house or apartment. So they rent a room inside of somebody's house. And it just sounds like we are regressing as a people. And so my question to you, Mr. Paul, can more agriculture help us out in this situation?
Well, first of all, agriculture can help us. It's not the sole answer and the only answer, because I believe that there are other issues that need to be addressed. I hear a lot of these things. But certainly, agriculture is still an unexplored frontier when it comes to resolving many of the issues that we face as a people. And I think sometimes we don't give it enough credit. We don't take it seriously enough. Um, we in a situation, and today's world is a very strange one,
Mm-hmm.
where people say things which they really don't mean, and sometimes, it is all for the cameras, or it is all for, to win votes, win this, or something like that. It
Mm-hmm.
is meant. It is said not with any measure of seriousness or understanding what is required, but it is said really to try to see if they can convince you that somehow they have a genuine interest. But in truth and in fact, the interest is not genuine, because when sometimes you examine, when you look at the people who are involved in agriculture, I first of all want to say a significant amount of those people really do love agriculture. And if you look at even at the farmers who are there, who are still making a significant contribution, a lot of these persons are there because they have a love for the area. And
Yes.
I think really that this very thing that we speak about agriculture, yes, globally, but we have to move beyond the talk and appreciate that in everything that you do,
Mm-hmm.
there needs to be a genuine commitment of resources towards making it work. And I believe that is perhaps as a country our greatest challenge in
But
terms of
let me ask you
integrating.
something, sir. When you talk about commitment, are you talking commitment from the position of government, or from the people, the citizens of Barbados generally?
But I think, well, it is not only government, it's people, but you see, there's a culture in
Mm.
which the cultural setting which influences the behaviors that we see. And unfortunately, we do not have the type of leaders who recognize this and will want to create a new culture that says, let us strive to achieve something meaningfully. And you find agriculture, therefore, is trapped in this. And you look at the efforts that we have to develop agriculture. People speak a lot about, and they talk glowingly, but when it comes, for instance, to understanding the real issues that farmers face and
Mm-hmm.
what needs to happen in order to mitigate those issues, to cushion
Mm-hmm.
those issues, the question is, are you prepared to do it? And I think too often you have a situation where we don't we talk nicely, but when it comes to making those sacrifices and making those clear decisions when they matter, we don't do them, and that's unfortunate. And that is where sometimes the frustration for farmers come in. And of course, one of the other things, Marcia,
Mm-hmm.
is that agriculture is as an activity in which anybody feels that they know something about agriculture. As a matter of fact, people think it is so simple that even in today's world, you tend to find that we still have the concept that anybody could do it. So if a fellow went to
Mm-hmm.
school and he didn't do very well in school or something like that, or a lady went, let him go and do some agriculture. At least that will keep them. But we don't appreciate and understand agriculture is science, that it is a business, and
Yes.
that unless you are aware of the rudiments of the business and you have some
Mm-hmm.
measure of intelligence about it, you will not run a successful business.
Mm-hmm.
Hence, that accounts for the reasons why you have, yes, a lot of people rush into agriculture, as we saw with the feed program, all kind of programs that
Mm-hmm.
this government, the previous governments did. How many actually remained? Because
Mm-hmm.
it says that they do not have the type of skills that are required to run not only a successful business, but
Mm-hmm.
also a successful agricultural business.
Mm-hmm.
That in itself is something that we need to pay attention to.
Yeah, but so there's a lack of commitment as a nation, as citizens, from
Mhm.
leadership go right, all the way down. And then there's a lack of skill. I know that for sure because I'm trying so hard, Mr. Paul, to do my sweet potatoes. Okay.
Mhm.
And I was in the garden this morning and I was getting so discouraged because I'm not, I used to get some sweet potatoes. Now I'm not getting anything. They grow up and then I don't see anything underneath it when I dig. And it can be so discouraging, and that has to do with a lack of skill, a lack of knowledge. I don't know anything about it. I just do a little YouTube video, and then I'm thinking I'm going to go and grow some sweet potatoes. So while there might be the commitment, there is generally a lack of skill, I agree with you. But let me ask you something. Do you think that people are really believe that agriculture could possibly, or more, getting more involved in agriculture could possibly really lower the cost of living? Do you think people believe it?
I think people believe it, but I don't think that is a commitment towards achieving it. Because it's a simple math that you have to work, Marcia. One of the reasons why agricultural commodities increase in prices is because it follows the law of supply and demand. Where, if you look at a supply curve and a demand curve, it's that point of intersection. And where you have when supply is restricted, what happens? The price of the commodity start to go up. It is only
Right.
when you have large supplies of the commodity being available that the prices actually start to go down. So therefore, the challenge that we face in the world today is that how can we increase agricultural production at a time when considerable pressure is being placed on agricultural land for other uses. We have a situation.
Can you expound on that, please? So you're saying
Mhm.
right now, the agricultural lands are being used for other purposes.
Mhm. That is true. I keep on saying, we before Barbados had a physical development plan in which it recognized that certain areas of the country will be devoted to specific activities, whether that be agriculture or manufacturing or whatever. It seems to me that that plan is thrown through the door. And where you have a situation where, depending on the amount of money you are able to control in this country, you are able to get the planners or the policymakers to change policies to suit those with the biggest or the fattest pockets. And that is
Yes.
the problem that we have. So therefore, many times when you see agricultural land being alienated, it is based upon the fact that there is somebody who has some money there who seems to be able to convince the policymakers that I want a change of use for a particular reason. There's one that comes to mind now that I do intend to deal with as we go into next week. Is, for instance, a pig farm in St. Thomas called Barnwell Farm. That farm,
Barnwell.
Barnwell, I call it Barnwell Farms. Okay,
Okay.
that farm is the largest pig farm that we have in this country.
Yes.
And now it is in danger of being cut up into a residential development.
What?
It is the largest pig farm that we have in this country. And now it is in danger of being cut up. And we have an application now going before Town and Country Planning and whoever that does it now, and the minister, I think it's in the Minister of Agriculture, asking for permission to cut up this farm. Now, again, I would want to say, can we really be serious as a country speaking about the whole question of agricultural development, promoting agriculture, when we allow the very assets upon which that development of agriculture, that expansion of agriculture is needed to occur, that we dispose of them? So, and it is not, for instance, that we do not have persons who are willing to do it, right? But I think that really, I admire the English for one reason, that they do have this thing in England where they respect land that, for instance, is for agriculture, and it is very difficult to get it changed. Very difficult to get it changed. On the other hand, you have a situation where people, right, buy lands here cheap,
Yes.
okay, and then of course they exploit it for the purposes of building on or whatever, and they earn huge profits. That is why, in a sense,
Oh.
that's what is going on. Where you have,
Ah.
and that is why in places like the UK, for instance, they have what is called the capital gains tax. That is what the capital gains tax. And why
Yeah.
do you have capital gains tax? Because you recognize that over time, the, the value of assets increase. The landowner or the owner of it does nothing to help it increase, but automatically increase because of other factors in the country. And they benefit hugely. What some countries have done is have introduced what we call a capital gains tax. in which a significant percentage of that increase in value goes to the taxpayers. It does two things. One, it avoids speculation in certain lands, and of course, and it stops people from getting, like for instance, what is happening or what happened was that people bought in this country large tracts of land, not for instance to help to engage in agriculture or anything like that, but really to go into house and they knew that at some point in time by forcing the hands of the policymakers to grant them that conversion that they are asked, that change of use that they are asking for, right? That they would then reap huge rewards as a result of this. And this unfortunately is happening in our country today. And we
Yeah.
do not have the type of legalistic scheme in place,
Right, the
in order to
framework.
support this framework in order to support
Yeah.
these people.
But let me ask you something. Someone is asking who owns Barnwell. And so that's one question. And then the second question is, if this is the largest pig farm in Barbados, if it were that they really get the permission to cut it up and to put houses on it, I don't know if this is part of the scheme of the government to do these 10,000 houses. I don't know. If they were to do that, what would be the impact on Barbadians and on the agricultural industry?
Again, all governments like to use emotional appeal of land for houses. But I want you to examine something in this country. Is it that the housing demand is being inflated? And is it really that it is that way because of the fact it is the easiest way in which financial institutions earn huge profits? And really, the housing crisis that we have in this country, I think, is reflective of the socio-economic issues that we face as a country, the familial issues that we face as a country. Okay? That is Mr. Cole. He has died actually. That's the former owner of Barnwell Farm.
Barnwell, okay.
Yeah, right? That he passed on to his son. That's Mr. Cole in the picture that you have there, right? And I am saying to you that I think that's right. I saw the notation on the thing, but this is the problem. And I think instead of it, as a country, us taking the opportunity to make a more informed decision as to the future, because let us understand, if we continue to allow every agricultural undertaking that you see to be challenged by these urban developers who just want to build housing also, right? Soon, we will not have enough agricultural capital available for us to really conduct agriculture in any meaningful way. That is why when so significant an asset as Barbados Farms is allowed to go out of production, we do have a difficulty. And it is not, for instance, I do know that there are persons who are interested in trying to save it. The question is, will government make the correct decision at this time and refuse that change of use that's being asked for by the current owners, okay? Or, right, will it still pander to those who keep on saying that, I want to make more money, I want to split off this land and sell it and cut it up into agricultural plots, okay, and make huge profits. And look, and the thing is, sometimes, look who is actually buying these huge profits. Not buying these houses, sometimes not Barbadians, but expatriates.
Yes.
Expatriates are buying these lands. So when we keep on saying, we are building houses for Barbadians, that is not so often true. Because when you look at the owners of these lands, a lot of them are expatriates who are coming into this country rather than people who are living here.
Yes, sir. Now, I saw in the newspaper, as you talked about the pigs and the pig farm being potentially. So, guys, you're hearing that on this show for the first time, that Barnwell pig farm, they are looking at cutting it up and making houses. I don't and do housing. I just don't understand when we are importing so much. Our import bill is so high, and that is a big part of the reason why we're feeling it at the supermarket. Our pockets, our pocketbooks, our our bank accounts feeling it. at the supermarket. Now, Mr. James Paul, there was an article, which in that article you stated that there was a glut on the market with chicken wings, because there was a lot of imported chicken wings for was it for Cricket World Cup and crop over. Can you talk to us about that and tell us what is status of that right now?
Well, first of all, I really don't know what the status of the chicken wings are. What I can say, and I don't know if I can even comment on that one, because all I can tell you is what is happening on the market at the moment, where the small farmers are complaining that they're unable to get the whole chicken sold. Because let me explain, many farmers do whole birds. Some also do, of course, cut up birds, because, for instance, there are some people like when you go in the supermarket, you see what's called chop mix in some cases, right? I think some companies do it very well, like Chickmont and also to Bejon. They have what is called, in other words, the parts are cut up already, so you just go in and you grab them and they cut up. But a lot of small farmers don't do that. A lot of small farmers still focus on whole birds. And you have a situation where a lot of them have found it difficult to get off their whole birds. Even those who are doing the chop mix, who are doing the cut up, for instance, there might be a special order that some might get for legs. There might be a special order that some may get, say, for wings or what. But wings are very limited because, let's face it, a bird only has two wings.
Yes.
Okay? And that's it. So you have a situation where the commodity, which is most important for the small farmer to be able to trade in, which is the whole bird, is being affected. Because I will tell you, and there's not only, for instance, the wings that are being brought in by the BADMC. That's the other point I wish to make, right? Because if you look at the history of the wings importation, the demand for chicken wings in this country is a contrived demand. It is really based on the fact that it was cheap when it first came into this country and it was meant for poor people. Let's understand that. Wings was originally brought into Barbados as the poor people's food because it was the next cheapest thing available to persons. Okay? That is not the case now. As a matter of fact, wings now around the world are the most expensive part of the chicken because what they have done, right, is that it is now gourmet. So consumers now, you have the buffalo wings and all these things, drumettes and all kinds of stuff. So in other words, in the marketing, they have increased the price of this part of the thing. So even to understand why we are bringing in something that is basically a gourmet item for Barbadians, claiming that we're trying to feed for people, I don't understand. Okay, but now let's go beyond that. Even so, as far as that is concerned, the thing is that we also face competition from our Caribbean neighbors. So, for instance, you have a situation now where you have these further processed products coming in from other territories such as Trinidad and Jamaica, etc. And they are giving competition now, okay, to our local producers. So it is not just what's being brought in by the state I'm talking about. It is the other persons now. So in other words, here we have Barbados' market is only so big. And I know that for those persons in the Caribbean, it's very attractive to them because they think that, for instance, because of the fact that we have a high cost of living, and not only that, they can actually charge better prices here in Barbados for the products that they send here than, for instance, they can obtain in places such as Jamaica or wherever, right? They have to charge lower prices because, of course, their salary scales are lower than ours. So all of that. So here it is now, that because of certain successes that we have had in some areas, we are allowing our Caribbean neighbors now to come in and take up a market that is already limited for us, and squeeze in our local producers. Now, the people who of course, will feel that most, our smaller producers, our smaller, because, of course, the bigger producers would already have
a market
and establish contacts. And then even to sort of get some of these things into the supermarkets or, for instance, into the restaurants or so, you have to have equipment, you have to have certain standards, and you need to make a certain level of investment that smaller producers are not, in many cases, able to do. The other issue is this too, that sometimes even if you form the collective, like a cooperative or what, cooperatives are not very easy to operate in Barbados,
Mm-hmm.
largely because of the fact that we don't work well together as a people, and
Mm-hmm.
that's an unfortunate occurrence. But the point is, at the same time, trying to make is that um, the issue of imports, and not only of wings but generally other products coming in, also is something that is impacting heavily on our small producers at this point in time. And I think that
Yeah.
maybe we might, government might need to have to consider, they have it under the power to do it if they wish, to not only look at the chicken wings, but also to look at the imports coming in from other Caribbean countries that are basically undermining the market for our local
For the
producers.
local producers. But
Yes.
thank you so much for that very real comprehensive answer. It's quite interesting what you're saying. And I saw someone here was even saying that because I didn't realize that we were doing that for poor people, but
Mhm.
now it's rich people can buy wings. It's so
Yes,
interesting.
because it's not
I
everybody
didn't
who
know that. I didn't know that at all. And
has changed.
and I mean, it was actually it makes sense because it's actually the least, probably the least healthy part of
Mhm.
the chicken.
Yes.
So and we used to eat the ends, so the poorer
Mhm.
people. So it
Mhm.
makes a lot of sense. But let me ask you something, Mr. Paul. Do you think that if we were to have the commitment, you said that there's a general lack of commitment both in the citizenry and in the leadership of the country, if we were to have the skills, we got the skills, right? And we don't, do you think that we would have enough land space in Barbados if we didn't go ahead and change the uses of the land, agricultural land, to housing? Do you think that we would have enough land to grow enough food to feed ourselves in Barbados?
I would say you never have enough food to feed yourself, and from the point of view that our dietary preferences as people are so diverse, if you understand what I mean, that sometimes there are certain commodities that we will not be able to grow. What I would say though is that at least there are certain critical commodities, especially our staples, like yams, our sweet potatoes, um, uh, our edibles, and things like these that we can grow as staples, and even diversifying them, because cassava is another one, because but we need land for this. And the other thing is that
But do we?
if
My question is, I know we
Mhm,
need land. My question is,
mhm,
Mr.
mhm,
Paul, if we were to leave the land that we have in agricultural use, and we
mhm,
say, okay, we're gonna focus on yams, we're gonna focus
mhm,
on potatoes, we're gonna
mhm,
focus on cassava, could we at least say, even probably not, to cover 100% of all of our starches,
mhm.
could we cut it by, say, cut our import bill of those items by about 75%? What percentage you think we could cut it by?
Yes, I believe that significantly. Okay, we could reduce our import bill for food by millions of dollars, and I will tell you why too. There are also spill-on effects in other areas that we do not see. Because one of the things that we have not engaged in Barbados a lot is in the area of further processing. Um, and I think that is where I think we need to trust in on the ingenuity of our people. I
Yeah.
spoke a lot about the fact that we have further processed chicken coming into Barbados out of other Caribbean territories. We used to do further processed chicken in this country, but we stopped. I think it is time
Mm.
to look to see how can we do it again. And I think that in this respect, the BADMC has to play a critical role in helping people through their research department there look at different recipes, or so that they can to refine what they are doing and make it more efficient. And that's only applied to poultry. For instance, I don't know if you know, but we tried. I know at Sunbury in St. Philip, we tried the cassava chips. Okay, I think even that is something that we, and sweet potato chips. These are products and that was private investment. What I think that we need to have in Barbados, the system where we help those persons in the private sector who are interested in going into the novelty products, and they are novelty really, they should be, it embarrasses me to say novelty products. when it comes to sweet potato chips and say cassava chips, because if you go overseas and you go, in fact, Fridays, if you TGI Fridays that was in Barbados, if you go overseas, okay, do you know that as I remember, sweet potato chips was a common item on the menus of TGI Fridays overseas in Miami,
Yes.
things such as, okay, and I think it still is. Yet you can you can count the restaurants probably on one or two hands that you can see sweet potato chips being on the menu, right? Cassava chips being on the menu.
Breadfruit chips. Can I say
Breadfruit
I went to one, only I think last week or so, and they had the breadfruit chips with all the different types of dip. That's all local material, really. Ingredients, I should say, and very, very, very delicious. It was a highlight. But Miss, I understand what you're saying about the further processing of these
Right.
foods.
So in other words, when you put that land that you are talking about on agriculture and it really begins to produce, even if you might view it as surplus production, you can also push that into further processing, because one of the things that we don't readily understand is that in order for you to do successful processing, you cannot sell to the processor at the same price as, say, you will sell to a consumer, because they need a lower price. But the only way you can achieve that is by actually increasing your production, increasing yields of the commodity. That is something, of course, that you need to do, and we need to do the research. And the other thing is the research. That I don't think we back up our farmers enough when it comes to research, because the issues that the farmers face, and too many of these issues are not being dealt with because we have a lack of research in this country.
Yeah. But let me ask you, you talked about research, and that was going to be my next question. But the type of research that I'm talking about, it's not just the research on how to grow the plant or that particular food, but it's research looking at how much land do we have, okay? And to be able to see how much could we really, because like we're sitting here and we're talking, Mr. Paul, and saying, well, we don't know how much, because we probably could cut down our starch bill. We probably we could cut down the import of potatoes by 80%, but we don't really know. Is it 60%? Is it I'm wondering if we need, Mr. Paul, here where I'm going with this, where you have those who have those kinds of skills, okay, to join with the farmers. I'm not sure if that's what you're trying to say, to bring those skills to farming, then that they could look at my plot of land and say to me, Marcia, I think that you would be able to get this amount of sweet potato and make this amount of money from it. Do you have those kind of synergies happening? And do you think that like something like that would be worthwhile?
But I think we do. And for instance, you take what's going on now. We right now, remember, there are different skills that are required in all aspects of agriculture, right? And they need to be complementary to each other. So we can't don't think that the farm is key. The farmer is key, yes, because he's the person that's doing it. But the support services that are required in order to make that farm successful. That is why, for instance, I spoke just the other day about the fact that we do not have enough large animal vets in the country. We have vets, but not enough large animal vets. Most of the vets that we have today, they want to go into looking at cats and dogs and pets, all kind of other pets, pet rat, I don't know pet rat. But the point I'm making is that the areas that people are going into are not going to help in furthering our productive drive, the productive drive that we need in this country. Because I remind you that while we think that we're buying these things, we are buying it with borrowed money. When we hear all of these billions of dollars in the central banking reserves, a lot of that is borrowed money that is there. It's not money that we earn through this. When we had sugar was king, I meant tourism was really doing well. Every time we had a good season, the reserves in the central bank went up, bump up. Nowadays, they
Yeah.
don't see any bump. It's a straight line. And the only way you get a bump is when you go and borrow some money and put it in the reserves. Okay? So the point I am essentially trying to make, right, is that what we need is at least support services for agriculture that will help to address the issues that you see. So that is why I made the statement in terms of the issue about the large animal vets are required. And even in agriculture, in the plants, you need more agronomists, right? So you need more plant agronomists, people who are specialized in that particular area. We're not getting enough going inside there. All right. And the last good one that we had was Frances Chandler. She bless her heart, she died. But we have some young ones coming up, but we need more. We need more people coming up in that particular area to help to do the work that is required. So agriculture in itself requires a lot of background support in terms of research. That's why I was a bit when they opened that thing in St. George that they're doing at Duke's, that's St. Thomas or St. George, the Chinese thing that they have up there, that University of West Indies is doing.
I can't remember the parish, but I remember I could see the sign in front of me. If anybody
Yes.
remember what it is,
Sorry, I think it's a monstrosity sometimes. It's really an invasion on agricultural land. But you took good agricultural land and you put concrete on it. But I'm seeing now Miss Singh, Michelle Singh, who I think is heading the department of the university is set up there, trying to make a difference in terms of trying to work with the agricultural sector to see what support activities that they can conduct to help us to increase the production by addressing the very basic issues that farmers are facing. So, for instance, you should have some place, Marcia, that if you have a problem, as you have with your sweet potatoes, you could call and say, "But I have a problem here. Can you advise me as to how it could be done?" And we should have these packages, these technical packages available for persons that when they call, this is what you need to do. We need a lot more of that at the same time.
one. You talked about support services around that farmer and around that land space, but I didn't hear you talk about the accountants. I didn't hear you talk about the managers. I didn't hear, I think that sometimes we don't see the marrying of those kinds of professions with any profession in agriculture, but the accountants are so important because I'm thinking, Mr. Paul, that if we can even convince our young people of how much money they could make from the farming, and even, I mean, even for myself, sometimes you stop and you think, I wonder if I should go bigger, should I scale, should I scale up? But if you have, some kind of support services there that will also help, with the business side of it. What do you think about that?
But I would say though that I don't think you can exclude them anyhow, because in a sense, the accountants will only be required if there's a business. That's the point.
Well,
right?
That's true.
The core, in other words, it really what is at the core is being able to do what you do well. Okay. Yes, you can bring in, as you know, you can bring in the accountant to contact the monies afterwards. That's the problem, right? The point is really is to be able to do the activity in a manner that would generate.
But also not afterwards, but also the budgeting, the forecasting, those kinds of things.
True,
Yeah.
but you need that first impetus, and that first impetus must be
agree.
The resources that must be provided in order to make sure that we can produce at the level that's required to produce a viable business at the same time. And that is what we should be aiming for in the agricultural sector, producing a viable business. And I think that, as I said before, we need to move beyond the talk. Look, it is really, I know, for instance, even when I was hearing discussion on the land in St. George, this Jacksaw,
Yes, Jacksaw.
It pained me when I was hearing suggestions. Some people should know better to take very good agricultural land and just place it in housing. Why? Because you have this perception that people don't need houses. But, and the sad thing about it, and I want to focus in on it, because when you look at Bridgetown, it is sad to admit that in Bridgetown in itself, if you took a walk through Bridgetown and walk through places like Norman Center and certain other places right now, there are so many empty offices down there. Look at the old people, BS&T was so
Correct.
many empty buildings. That it, what it, all this building new these greenfield sites does is put money in the hands of these large construction people. Okay, that is all it does. Okay, but at the same time, if we are talking about making decisions for the benefit of our country that will help the agriculture at the same time, sometimes we have to say no to these people. That
Yes.
we cannot continue to corrupt agricultural land in the way in
Yeah.
which we have been doing, because it is that same land that we are going to need to grow food. And let me just
Mm-hmm.
say this: we have this thing that, there is going to be a time to come in this country when we will discover that you might have money, and people discover you have money, but there's no food to buy.
Mm.
There are situations around the world that where people have money, but
Yeah.
there's no food. And as a matter of fact, there has been, the FAO has expressed a warning at a concern as to the extent to which there is the increasing alienation of agricultural land around the world, right? So we must not think that because, even the situation with milk that happened there recently, people don't understand what went on, okay? But what is happening is that around the world, there are issues in terms of the production of milk going on, okay? And Barbados in itself has been
Mm.
affected, right? And the
Yeah.
thing is really that you cannot make, for instance, when it comes to say evaporated milk, you have to make it powdered milk, but powdered milk is getting limited because it's being pushed in other directions. And if,
Yes.
for instance, the overall production of milk around the world is not increasing with the demand, you're gonna have a problem, and the population around the world is increasing. So Barbados in itself has a responsibility if we are going to talk about having a sustainable environment, creating a sustainable economy. Barbados too has a responsibility to play its part in sustainability, and it also
Yes.
relates to agriculture. So you cannot just go about alienating agricultural land to the extent and putting money in the hands of the construction people, okay? Because it suits you. But at the same time, you're creating a problem down the road for future generations.
Yes. Well said, Mr. Paul. Well, we just have another, say, 5 minutes left. And the question that has been coming up over and over on this feed, if you've been watching the comment section, people want to know about the black belly sheep. They want to know in Guyana. Do you know anything about it? There are people in Guyana who are saying that they don't know anything about it, that they've, there are all kinds of different things. I don't know. But what is what's the status of that? Are we achieving the objectives?
Let me just say that I was not involved in the exportation of the animals to Guyana. We did, I think, as you all know, the president of the Barbados Farmers Inc. voiced the concerns of the farmers in respect of exporting those animals. Because you have, first of all, a limited number of animals. I
Hmm.
think that what we need to do in Barbados when it comes to Barbados black belly sheep, we need to we need to employ some of going to the area of genetics work, geneticists, and that is again it's a skill in terms of breeding animals and stuff like that, breeding technologies that we need to look at that our young people maybe can become involved in, because I don't think that we are, because of our breeding practices that we are having the full benefit of the presence of the Barbados black belly sheep here. That is something that we need to look at and see if, for instance, we can actually help to improve the current quality of the animal. Because the truth is really, let's understand that when you look at a lot of the breeds of animals that you have around the world, a lot of these breeds were developed. So I hear, for instance, recently they talk about what climate friendly the cows, that base climate resistant cows. It's not that, it's
Yes.
a breed. It is really, for instance, adaptive breeds, because what has happened in livestock grain, a lot of the breeds we have borrowed from our northern neighbors where they have cold climates, and the animals are for that. We have not, but as they come down here in the tropics, one of the things is that we need to now rely on our breeding technology down here to produce more animals, okay, that sort of would adapt better to our climate characteristics that we have here in Barbados or the region as the case may be. That is why, for instance, I know there's a recent effort coming from the ambassador, Roving ambassador. She's been playing a big role trying to look for opportunities in terms of the agricultural sector. And she has identified some people in Brazil, which I think Senator Althea Wiggins, which actually we are hoping to benefit from the expertise of the Brazilian breeding technologists to see if we can practice some of those same breeding techniques here that will help us, for instance, to breed better animals here that will be more accommodating to our climate. And because they are more accommodating, what you will see is an increase in the yields. Something also happened in terms of even our plant technology that we need to have. For instance, we need to have, in terms of a better agronomist here, we need to have plants, for instance, that are more adaptable to the regime of the tropics, because again, a lot of the plants that we bring in are probably more adapted to, say, temperate countries. But what about our areas? So a lot of work can be done. But I think, and there are a lot of opportunities available in agriculture, but we have to be prepared to make that investment, Marcia.
Yes, we definitely. And somebody's asking, still on the black belly sheep, is it that did we need to go to Guyana? Was it a particular technology there? Is it the climate is different? Why did we need to go to Guyana with the black belly sheep?
To be honest with you, I do not know, because when I look at the work that we were doing here, even at the Greenland Agricultural Research Station, even among our farmers here, I think that we have the necessary skills to do whatever the breeding or the developments that they needed to do in Guyana. I don't think it's something that we don't have. We do have it, okay? And I think really that we have to have faith in our farmers, in our abilities, okay? Because already when you look at it, when I look at some of the animals that are shown on an annual basis at AgroFest, there are some wonderful animals, and it's showing that the farmers are actually doing some excellent work in terms of breeding the animals. And listen, we need to, again, this is where the level of support needs to come. We need to support our people in the work that they are doing. Because I do not know, I'm waiting, and those who are waiting to hear what is happening in Guyana, certainly like to hear, but I do not, from what I've been hearing, I haven't heard anything further to say, how can we really benefit as a people? Or even in terms of the livestock sector here, how can it really benefit?
Yeah. Well, Mr. Paul, let me say was so exciting. I have my little ground there that I work, and I was busy working on my cassava.
I would encourage you.
Yes, I sometimes I wish that I had somebody. We had some kind of system in place where I could call this particular place, and somebody could come to my garden and be able to tell me what is going on, even if it's somewhere where I could upload my pictures and say this is happening, and I get some advice, because I'm sincerely trying to cut down my food bill. I have yams. I really am. It's not just a hobby. I am trying to cut down my food bill.
We have some very good. We still have a few good entomologists here. Mr. Ian Gibbs, I'm sure when we get off, I could give you his contact. He's always very willing to share information and to give advice. To persons who are in agriculture in terms of what are the issues, because it could be something in relation to the soil or something like that.
Yeah.
And he can give you good advice. But the point that I'm saying is that it is an area such as these that we need to back it up in terms of making sure that you get the results that you need, and that will inspire you to do more.
Yes, it will inspire me, because, and I'm thinking in the same way. I want to end the conversation, but we keep going on. My last comment, it's in the same way. You have the health inspectors that go around. Yes. To the houses. I would love to see something like that, where in the community, where they come to look at your garden and to give you a little, you don't have to spend the whole day, obviously, because they have to go to other houses, and we would understand that, but that they come, and they could probably come and they have some seeds from the government to give away, things like that it is and you encourage it in the community, and because I want to learn. I didn't go to school for it, but I want to learn. Okay.
But all right, I mean, we've had some programs when we wanted to push on in production, where we actually, the BS started some work with about 8 or 9 farmers, and we actually distributed, found a way to get inputs to them, distributed input seeds, and chemicals or whatever that they needed, okay, to work with. And and that was a pretty successful project. Things like that we like to do again. So you don't have to restrict, and it doesn't have to be restricted to the government alone. I think that the private sector too has a role to play, because at
Yes.
the end of the day, if you grow more, you will be looking for more inputs and stuff like that, and everybody benefits, and the country as a whole benefit. So I really think that it's something that we all need to get on board with, and and do better and produce
Yes,
more.
yes. Well, thank you so very much. I could talk about this forever. I'm going to read some of the comments because they had, if you get off the show and you can read some of these comments, they have some
Yes.
great comments in there. And people are saying that it was a great discussion, and they want to know why some of your ideas are not adopted by the government. But Mr. Paul, thank you for what you do. You're inspiring. Thank you so much.
And thank you for having me.
Yes,
And good
sir.
night.
Good
Okay, good.
night. Thank
Good
you.
night.
Thank
Okay.
you. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
This has been just so wonderful tonight, and I could tell you all are eating it up. No pun intended. We're talking about food, and I wanted to just read a couple of your comments because I couldn't get to read it because I was getting all caught up in the discussion, and I'm trying to go back up at the top and see if I can find just some. Dale Real is saying that farmers need to start. Let me see if I could show that one instead. Farmers need to start specialized farm crops in the correct areas. I don't know why it's not showing up. Sorry, guys, but farmers need to Hello. Hi. Don't know what happened there, but I'm back. Am I back? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? V Hoy, let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay. All right. I think you're hearing me again. I don't know what happened. I just dropped out completely. Yes, but some great ideas that you guys have here, and I'm glad that we could read some of those. Let me know if you're hearing me. Are you hearing me? Yes. Okay. Yes. 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 You are hearing me. Now we're going to continue to talk about the high cost of living. Going to take a short little break and to deal with the issue with Praise Academy and the arbitration. All right. So that is what is coming up at this stage. And so we want you to keep sharing, guys. Share, 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 share. We are almost 800. Let's take this thing up to 1,000 or more tonight. Folks, we are getting ready to talk about Praise Academy and the NCF and all that has occurred. And I just want to say, I see the general coming in, and he's going to talk a bit about that and educate us a bit on what arbitration is. All right. And but while he's setting up, I think what I'm going to do while he's setting up is to read. I want to take you through the process of what has happened to Praise Academy. So last NIFCA, Praise Academy entered a spoken word and a theater piece in NIFCA. It was a piece that had a little bit of theater at the beginning, and then we also had a spoken word piece. What those of you who are new to Praise Academy, it's Praise Academy of Dance Barbados, but we do a lot of theatrical pieces. We've done films, all kinds of different things we do at the school. We've been in existence for 21 years, and over those 21 years we've never missed a NIFCA. I think only when they didn't have NIFCA because of COVID. And even then they did dance pieces, and we danced in NIFCA, or we did whatever, acting, etc. And that's our school, that's our website, Praise Academy of Dance. And so we entered a piece. We call it a piece because it's an extract from a production that we did called Speak Live. And Speak Live was written by yours truly. And we took just a little excerpt from it, about 12 minutes or so, and entered it in NIFCA. And that 12 minutes of the of the production Speak Live was based on Genesis 1:27, and also based on science, where the children were saying that there are only two genders, and that God made male and female, and that they like themselves the way they are created. That was it. It wasn't, there's nothing in it, and you can check online for yourselves, right? You know, you can check online on the piece for yourself, and you will see that it said nothing against anybody. They are saying that this is who they are, and they like themselves, and they want to be taught. They want to be taught science, like real science, and they say they're saying no to transgender education. Not no to transgenders. They're saying no to transgender education, no to all these different types of education, and they're saying that they want to learn real science is what the production was about. So it was a bit strange that the production was disqualified from NIFCA. And the reasons that were given, that it was not in good taste, etc., which we couldn't understand, because we had done the full thing to a full house at Combermere. When we were finished, everybody was up on their feet. It was a standing ovation. So I'm not sure we couldn't understand what they meant. Our children were very confused. Were in a confused state when they left there, because they are saying what their parents taught them. They're saying what they learned at Sunday school. They're saying what they learned at our school. They're saying what they learned in class. What else could the children learn in biology? Right? So it was a lot of confusion for our students. And some of them actually, I don't think they've recovered to this day. Some of our lead actors and actresses, they've been, bullied, jeered at school, because we were plastered all over the media that we were hateful. There were lots of comments on. I saw one of them, one of those bloggers. They could only put up the results today and no comment from them. But they said, talked about us being hateful and all these different things. And, our school has been affected, because even our school numbers have decreased as a result of what has happened to us. And so this is something that we thought that was important, that we did not want to just leave it there. Plus, it was we thought that it was much bigger than Praise Academy. We are now thinking about what is going to happen to a church that decides that they want to read Genesis 1:27 that we were quoting on stage, that says God created male and female. Whatever you think of that, you might not believe in the Bible. That's okay, but that is a belief of a particular type of religion. The Muslim, they believe in the Quran, and Christians use the Bible. other religions use other books. All right. So, we thought that that was a bit intolerant, and it's setting a very bad precedent. And so we thought that we needed to involve, take the legal course for it. And so that's how this whole thing came about. And the first thing that we were told to do was to follow the guidelines of the NCF, that if you have an issue, that you take it up, you take it up with the NCF. You're not in agreement with their decision. And the NCF then decided that the next process is arbitration, to see if what the judges have said, that the piece is disqualified, if they've made the right judgment on the piece. And so that's where we're at. So the piece went to arbitration. And I must tell you that when the piece went to arbitration, and the arbiter, Senator Nichols, made a decision on the piece, and we're telling you the truth. All right. What happened was that we were not told about the decision of the arbiter. We were not contacted until after it was put in the media. I'm not here to say who put it in the media. I'm not here to say who did, but we were not contacted. We heard, let's put it like this. The first place we heard of the decision of the arbiter was in the media. Starcom, Nation, Barbados Today, Loop. Everybody was covered before Praise Academy was informed of the decision of the arbiter. Okay? Now, I know that some of you might not care about this because you don't really believe in the Christian religion. But what we are talking here about is justice and fairness and what is right. And remember that it's today for me, it's tomorrow for somebody else, and the next day for somebody else. And it has been a pattern that I've seen in this country, where there's a lot of injustice and people shut up and they do nothing about it. So that's where we are now. I'm going to ask Dave, as Mr. Franklin, I'm going to bring him in the studio, and we are going to read. Good night, Mr. Franklin. How are you? You're muted.
Yeah, good night, Marcia, and thanks for having me. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else tonight than here. I do not believe these people who I think the disease, or what the disorder that they have, is called integrity deficit disorder. And let the people who want to find out is look it up, but it is real, and a lot of people in Barbados are suffering from it, and I suspect Senator Nichols to be one of them. And I'm going to tell you why I say that when we get down to that.
Yes. So I just want to read for the people the correspondence, because I can't directly comment on what was put in the media by Senator Nichols, but I just want to read for you, Mr. Franklin, and for Barbados, because a lot of times things are allowed, people get away with a lot of things because we don't speak about it. And I think they expected us to go somewhere, go off in the sunset somewhere, and to go and pray. Some Christians actually thought that we needed to go and pray about it and forget about it and not do anything about it. But we decided otherwise. So Dave, if you could put up the first letter, please, on the screen. Thank you. Let's see if I can get the first letter up. And if you have any questions for me, get ready to ask the question. So let me try and make this bigger so I can actually see it. Okay, thank you, Dave. A little bigger. So just look at this. Look at this letter. This letter is the letter that we received from the lawyer in question, and Senator Nichols. It says, "Dear Madam, I'm writing to our lawyer. I act as external legal counsel for," listen, and on behalf of the NCF, and your pre-action letter of February 26 has been handed to me with instructions to respond on the NCF's behalf. Bear that in mind. Okay, so listen, look at that first paragraph, who this person is. I act as the external legal counsel. And go on to second paragraph. I won't bore you with, I won't read all of this. As external legal counsel, my engagements relates to providing legal advisory services and opinions, representation in legal proceedings, and provision of arbiter services for the Crop Over Festival and NIFCA. As such, I am well aware of the matters to which you have referred in your letter, and I shall now set out NCL's position in respect to the matters raised therein. What I want to establish here is that, because we're talking about what the press release that was in the media and showing us why possible, why the arbiter would need to rescind, why the arbiter rescinded, okay? The decision. Notice that this letter says that they act as a legal counsel and they are also acting as an arbiter. Okay, I hope we've established that. And I can't, as I said, I can't answer directly to what was in the media from the arbiter, but this is the this is the facts before us this evening. And I'm not on here to tell lies. Okay, this is what it is, and I wanted to bring the receipts for you today. Okay, all right. Can we go to the next letter, please, Dave? Now, our lawyers now wrote them a letter. And let me just use this opportunity to really thank our local lawyers. They are young, Davida Maynard Halligan and Nike Jemet. And we want to thank them because they took on something that could hurt them, because what happens here in this country, but they took it on. Because they thought that it was important, not just for Barbados, but for the region, and not just for Praise Academy, but for for people of faith, whether it is Christian, Rastafari, Muslim, Hindu, whoever they are. Okay, and in this letter, Mr. Franklin and viewers, it says, I together, meaning David Maynard, with Mrs. Nike's Jemet, acknowledges receipt of your letter dated March 11th in connection with caption matter and set out herein below our response to your said letter. So they're responding to the letter that I read to you, only part, not to bore you. It says apparent bias. In arbitration law by Robert M. Merkin, it states that impartiality of arbitrators is central to the entire arbitral process. Actual or apparent bias on the part of an adjudicator is sufficient ground for setting a determination aside. Whether or not an arbitrator is impartial or biased is determined by applying common law test of apparent bias formulated by Lord Hope, and I'm not a lawyer, and so on and so forth. But I wanted you to think, and this is where I think I'm going to stop here, because Mr. Franklin is who is a trained arbiter. Mr. Franklin is a trained arbiter, and I have to say was the first person who brought up this issue way back when, last year, when it came up, when he heard who was the arbiter. Mr. Franklin brought up this issue, and he's going to address it. But let me just read for you the actual response of Senator Nichols after our lawyers brought up the issue of the bias, the possible bias, because he was, saw in the letter that he was the lawyer. That's my understanding. He was representing the NCF. He was also the arbiter. And of course, he's a senator. So remember that, and this is a case against the government because the NCF is an arm of government. Okay, so let's just go to the next letter, Dave, quickly before Mr. Franklin comes on. And so this is a letter that came to us on the 2nd of May. I refer to yours of March 18th in connection with the caption matter. I apologize for the delay in response as I was otherwise occupied and so on. I acknowledge my letter, second paragraph to you of March 11th, and indicated that I act as legal counsel for NCF. I wish to confirm that even though while acting as arbiter, that I was not conflicted. Okay, so this is what he's saying. Though he was the legal counsel and he was acting as the arbiter, he was not conflicted. And this may have caused some concern. I accept, however, that a fair-minded and informal observer would conclude that there was a real possibility of bias in the present matter. I have therefore decided to rescind my arbitral decision of November 17th in the instant matter in the interest of fairness to all parties concerned. You should contact the NCF directly on what steps they will take to rehear the complaint, which I trust will be done with due dispatch. I've copied this letter to the NCF for their attention and action. And so this is the last correspondence that we have received from Senator Nichols, who was the arbiter and also the legal counsel for the NCF. Okay, and I wanted to make that, to hear from us. Praise Academy. I am the artistic director for Praise Academy, and so I wanted you to hear it from us. And this is our platform, so we use this to share that with you. Over to you, Mr. Franklin, who he's sitting here today as an arbiter. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Franklin.
No, I am an arbitrator.
Arbitrator.
As opposed to arbiter. There's a difference, but from the correspondence I'm seeing there is a misunderstanding of the two. An arbitrator is someone who is appointed by the parties. You would have to have agreed to the person. You would submit a name, or they would submit names. They told you get together and they say, well, look, okay, we're going to choose this person. That's an arbitrator. His decision then becomes final. An arbiter, on the other hand, and I'm sorry, before we go there, an arbitrator only decides the dispute. That is before them. An arbiter can go outside of the dispute.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think so. Mr. Nichols was an arbiter and not an arbitrator. The process that they're talking about, because so it seems as though he did not understand the difference. I'm trained as an arbitrator, because in order we in the trade union movement, we've been doing arbitrations for as long as I can remember. We do mediation, conciliations, and arbitration. Most popular and most familiar one is the conciliation, where the two sides get together and with a third party who guides the meeting. And the two parties then come to a decision on their own rather than think. But when an arbitrator makes a decision, you agree to be bound by the decision of the arbitrator. You didn't make it. So the NCF has imposed rules and said, well, they will impose an arbiter, and that arbiter then will make a decision. However, that arbiter cannot be in a situation where Mr. Nichols finds himself. He is biased. There is not only actual bias in this case. It's not apparent bias. There's actual bias. I heard him say just now. If you were looking at the thing, you would see me with the phone to my ears, listening to something. That was him on Starcom Network in the news saying that, and I wrote it down, that he was acting in nowhere, and he was acting for the NCF in any capacity. He was not acting for the NCF in any capacity. Those words came from his mouth on Starcom Network today. Because I subscribe to them, they give me their things, and I get the messages. And he said that I could play it for you if you like. That is an absolute lie. You want to know why he said that? And this can create more enemies for me than anything else. But here we go. You remember some time ago when Arthur and Mayor Motley sued the NCF and CBC over a calypso that they said defamed them. That case is still ongoing. And Gregory Nichols is the counsel, the legal counsel for the NCF all like now.
Ooh.
So he cannot say that and get away with it, because that is why I said to you the first time when I heard that he was going to be the arbiter, I told you, but he can't be because he's counsel for the NCF. He cannot be. Now the question where he says that it is that the lawyer wears a constitutional provision. Only the High Court or the Court of Appeal can decide a constitutional matter. And Rule 61 of the Supreme Court Civil Procedure Rules of 2008. If that happens, the tribunal must cease and allow the court to hear the constitutional matter before it proceeds. You remember some time ago, and I remember, I think it was some Nichols, not this Nichols, he was a magistrate. There was an extradition matter, United States, Hawksworth, and those guys. And every time they attempted to get the case going, the attorney for Hawksworth and the other would raise a constitutional point. And Nichols had to adjourn his matter and allow the constitutional point to go to the court. You cannot, because it says here a question referred to by minister, magistrate, judge, a tribunal or other persons, or an application for an order directing the minister, magistrate, judge of a tribunal or other persons referred a question of law to the court by way of case stated. Well, so what they should have done, going by way of Part 61, he should not have heard the matter when a constitutional point was raised. He just don't ignore it and say, "Oh, I can't decide a constitutional matter." He should let who can decide the constitutional matter decide it. He knows better. He is from what he told me and what I've heard him say, he lectures in law. Well, I hope he ain't teaching the lawyers, the young student lawyers, that nonsense that he's doing, because that is certainly, that's why he said he has an integrity deficit disorder. He is lying on the radio. He's lying in his correspondence. He's lying at everything, and it is shameful. Now, why I said that this thing can earn me a few enemies if I don't already have them. This is a case where the Minister of Culture in Barbados right now is suing the NCF. She became Minister of Culture after the case started. But
hold a minute. Who is suing the NCF?
Mayor Motley. Yes, you are shocked. And I let the shock go through the audience so that it's held down. So I am saying to you that when she became minister, who can give directions to the NCF, this case she should not continue this case. Because the NCF cannot do anything unless the minister decides. Even if she said, well, I am going to step aside and let somebody else make the decision at NCF. No, she's prime minister. So this case, Department One Arthur could go ahead, because Owen Arthur estate can still proceed. But Owen Arthur here, they're fighting about anything like that. So Owen Arthur estate can proceed. But I find it strange that the Prime Minister, Minister of Culture, could have a case against the NCF and CBC she becomes prime minister. She becomes prime minister during this case. And now they are trying to do a settlement. You can't do a settlement outside the court in a situation like this. You're going to let this thing go to a judge. Because who is going to settle? Who is going to be the impartial person who's going to make the decision that we are going to say that the prime minister only deserves a penny or whatever? This is the integrity deficit disorder. And he is acting for the NCF all like no, because the matter has
So hold a minute. So hold a minute. Are you saying, because I'm this is what you're saying, Mr. Franklin, that the Prime Minister of Barbados, who is also the Minister of Culture, had a case? I'm repeating because I'm trying to process it. I never heard of this before.
Marcia, has.
But the case started before she was Prime Minister.
Yes.
She's now Prime Minister and she is a Minister of Culture. And she is the case is still going. The legal representative of the NCF is a senator that she has appointed.
Yes,
she has appointed Senator Gregory Nichols as a senator, and he is the legal counsel of the NCF, of which she is over. Hold a minute here. What's going on? And she is, and they are planning, and you are alleging that they're planning an out of court settlement for the Prime Minister, who is a Minister of Culture. And so the lawyer from the NCF, who is a senator that she has appointed, is negotiating with the Minister of Culture. Oh God, this is so incestuous.
This is so confusing. It's funny. This is like having children from your grandchildren and your children. This is incest.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
These people should stay away from public office. You know. He is just senator. He goes on the radio and tells, I'm not going to call him a liar. You will. And say this.
I won't call him a liar.
No, I mean you when you get your point to the audience.
Okay.
Say these untruths. You know, he is saying he in nowhere. He was not acting for the NCF.
Can you send the clip to the audience, and then you send the clip to the audience, because that is what he's actually saying, unless they edited it. I don't know. They could have edited it, but play it.
Just a minute here. Let me see.
2 or 3 months after they were complaining, they began it after saying I act as attorney at law and arbiter. That misstatement is what has led them to assert that I was acting for NCF in my capacity as a lawyer and as well as arbiter. That is not correct. In fact, I set out that to them in 2 separate pieces of correspondence, and then I spoke with the attorney at law on the telephone on a number of occasions to explain that that was a mistake. They did not accept it, and I think that is the basis of what they're hooking on, that I was being unfair to them while acting as NCF attorney, and that is not correct. At the time when I did the position of arbiter, I was not acting for NCF in any capacity as a lawyer, but that is what they have asserted, and I rescinded the award so that a fresh person could take a look at their complaint.
You hear that? He said he was not acting in any capacity.
Wow.
I can't cut and splice these kind of things. I don't know how.
Wow. Wow, should we read to the audience? I don't think we need to read to the audience what we read already, because it's there that he introduced himself. He introduced himself in those 2 capacities, as legal counsel and arbiter.
And then he said he was not acting in any capacity for the NCF at that point in time. He was acting before, during, and since.
Okay, so people can read for themselves and determine what they want to determine. And again, I want to just commend our lawyers, Davida Maynard Holligan, who took on this case, and and Mrs. Nikki Jamut, and they're doing a great job, and not just a Praise Academy, but for the entire for Barbados and the region. We traveled to Trinidad, and Trinidad, they were so happy that we were actually doing this, carrying out the case, because they are watching with bated breath. They are waiting to see what is going to happen, because seeing that we our peace is based on the Bible and science and not against anybody. So it's quite interesting what is happening.
Marcia,
Yeah. Wow.
I work
I don't
around a
know.
lot of lawyers over time. So a few things that they say, I'm not a lawyer. So a few things that they say sticks. So sometimes when I hear these words, I go and look them up. And there's one term, functus officio. It's Latin or something like that. And it says the doctrine of functus officio, that is, having performed the office, holds that once the arbiter renders a decision regarding the issue submitted, he or she lacks any power to re-examine that decision. That this principle is well established in international arbitration and is accepted in many national laws. I am wondering how he could get back there and thought we were sending anything. He make a decision already. He can't go back at it.
Wow.
He can't go back at it. Functus officio. When the judge renders a decision, you gotta go to the court of appeal for him. If you think you're wrong, you can't go back to the judge and say, "Judge, you know you're wrong. Come and fix this." It don't work so. Same way he can talk about, he undo it. This don't happen in law. This happen in lawlessness.
But you see,
I am so sorry.
what I'm saying here, Mr. Franklin, I hate to cut you, but believe me, my head is just going, and I have to be. I am just. I am just happy that, you know, this kind of thing, and I want the public to understand. Don't just see this as a praise academy thing, you know, Mr. Franklin. If we see it, we're just a small dance school, which, as I told you, our numbers have dwindled since this has occurred, because, you know, Bajan people can be a little scared sometimes. But when you think about what has happened to us, if we had not done anything, Mr. Franklin, this would have just gone, you know, like everything else, you know. And there's so many persons in Barbados that have experienced what we've experienced, and also where, you know, they try to help themselves with the law, but there's no justice for them. And I'm hoping that this is an example for everybody to fight. You know, don't sit back and take what you hear. You know, even as we tonight being willing to come on here and to read, you know, to address the things that you've heard. But Mr. Franklin, what this thing is, this thing, so you're saying that this is a normal kind of incestuous kind of thing that happens.
No, it isn't normal. Incest is not normal. It is abnormal. But we allow these things to go because we people in this country cannot be bothered by them. But something like this should feel the wrath of the people of this country. At the ballot box, on the calling programs, on letters to the editor, you name it, because they are treating us like fools. They think that we are stupid and they can do anything and get away with it. And mind you, they are doing anything and getting away with it because we allow them. We refuse to stand up when it matters.
But Mr. Franklin, how could, as taxpayers are listening, I know, pardon me, you know how I get when I'm in shock. I'm in complete shock that if what you're saying to me, that the Prime Minister, folks, you want to hear this again? Mr. Franklin, repeat what you said, because I can't believe I just heard you.
When Owen Arthur and Mayor Motley, they sued the NCF. Owen Arthur was Prime Minister back then. This matter, he sued the NCF and CBC for a calypso that was published, and they claim that some of the words in that calypso defamed them. The matter goes to court. These people know But not when after the state will have to do it. But the matter is still continuing against the the NCF and CBC with Gregory Nichols, a senator in Mayor Motley's cabinet and Mayor Motley's government. Well, Mayor Motley is the Minister of Culture. So right now we have a situation where the Minister of Culture is suing one of her departments, one of her statutory board under her. I feel at that point, then when she becomes the minister, I think she should say, well, look, I have to
When she
stand
became the Minister of Culture, you're saying?
Minister of Culture, yes. I can't be suing one of my own entities because that entity reports to me. No, I have to give directions, and any suits or anything, I have to be able to settle. Now, I don't care. You tell me, well, she will stand aside and allow the cabinet to make the decision because it is Motley's government. And the fellow in that cabinet wouldn't dare go against Motley. Trust me. Even if they thought she was wrong, they would not go against her. That is what we've been seeing. That everything that Motley says becomes law in Barbados. So this incestuous behavior, and I only came up, I only brought it up because Gregory Nichols said that he, at the time of this arbitration or whatever they call it, he was not acting for the NCF in any capacity. He was acting in that capacity as a lawyer representing the NCF in the case with Oinafa and Mayor Motley versus NCF and CBC. And a lot of people know about this case. This case is not, it's just that, like, in the banks, and people didn't know the work was going on behind the scenes.
And you're saying no, are you saying no, that they are negotiating a settlement out of court?
My understanding is that they're negotiating a settlement. And I feel, the
Minister of Culture is negotiating a settlement with a senator that she put into position, gave that position to, who is the legal counsel for the NCF. You have to be making this one up.
No, I'm not. I couldn't make up something like this. I don't have, you can't make up this stuff. You can't make it up. Nobody would believe it. If you had put that in a book, they would put it in the fiction section in the library. Nobody will believe that it is true. But the man said on Starcom, I don't know if you heard the thing, well.
Yes, I heard it. I heard.
He said,
well, I can't. All I can do is to put out what what was written and signed by him. I allow the people of Barbados to see that, and they can make their judgment, Mr. Franklin.
He was saying he was not acting in any capacity for the NCF during that time. You mean to tell me that you have a case going on, and then you stop acting and continue, then come back, and you come back, you know? That does not make sense.
Was he wearing different hats? He put on an arbiter hat, and then a legal counsel hat, and then a different hat.
I remember Gladstone Holder writing once. She said, I am not saying that a man cannot wear two hats, but when he wears them at the same time, he looks foolish. He got on about three.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Holder is dead so many years, but that has always stuck with me. And that is why I wear one hat at a time.
But I think I am grateful tonight, actually, for this show, that I could come on and be able to say to Barbados, this is our situation. We got time, to explain, Mr. Franklin. And I called you today because as I sat here prepared, I said, hold a minute. But the person in the first person I heard talking about this arbiter process was you. And so I said, Mr. Franklin, I know you're due to come on Sunday, but would you come on and address this?
Friday.
But this Mr. Gregory Nichols, though, Mr. Franklin, before he was senator, because let's kind of introduce him to people who don't really know him. Before he was senator, was he working with the transport board? Is that the same person?
He was the chairman of the transport board at one stage, and he claimed that he gave up office. I've heard completing claims too, but I'm not going to get into them. There's somebody asked if he jumped or was pushed. So there's a question of him jumping or getting pushed, and you jump first. So he was chairman of the transport board, appointed again by Minister Duguid, who in the Mayor Motley's cabinet. So you don't get any appointment under the Barbados, the party Mayor Motley administration. But she's disagreeing with it. Today I saw that picture of him. He looked so contrite in the Barbados today. I for at least 0.25 seconds I felt for him. I really couldn't feel for him much longer than that.
Okay, so this is an article saying he clears the air on his resignation. So why did he need to clear the air? I can't get to read that. It's so small.
As speculation ran rampant on social media as to the reasons behind the decision of Gregory Nichols to step down from the post of chairman of the transport board, the attorney at law took to his face. That was really quite good. The attorney at law took his Facebook page to clear the air. In quotes, I have resigned as chairman of the board of directors of the transport board today. I was not fired, nor was I accused of any infelicities during my tenure. All of the instances of issues concerning the transport board occurred before my tenure and are well documented in the provisional report of the Auditor General, who has just completed a special audit of the board. When this report is published, you will all get to see how difficult it was to turn around the transport board, given the poor shape in which I inherited it, the post read. Saying he could not stop criticism nor the slander of detractors, he gave the assurance that there would be no basis for the rumors spread on social media when his 10-month tenure as chairman was reviewed. Nichols noted that all was well and that he had no regrets, while thanking Transport Minister Dr. William Duguid for his support and the Prime Minister Motley for the opportunity. The Transport Board is indeed a tough assignment. I have tried my best and I am happy with the job I've done. But there is always the point in life where your best will not suffice, and this is certainly that time for me to move on. I am human, not superhuman, and there are things in life that you cannot change. This experience has certainly reinforced that fact for me, he stressed before thanking family and friends for their support.
Wow. Well, Mr. Franklin, I know that there's a lot being said. Again, I guess it could be said that it is rumor, but my little understanding tells me, my little intelligence told me that they're trying to get this same Senator Nichols to be the candidate for St. Thomas, where you live.
No, but as a matter of fact, I had identified him many years ago as the person who I would want to see take over. But he was a young man in a hurry and they couldn't wait. So he went all about the place where we could find a seat to run in, the man running and get beaten very badly. Now, because he had good support in St. Thomas, he just couldn't wait. He was in a hurry. He couldn't wait until someone died or retired. And he went down to run against St. Clair. I think it was some kind of run someone in St. George. He just liked the idea of pushing himself up to get noticed. Because I am the person. I managed him. He even thanked me when he was appointed senator the first time under Owen Arthur. Because
I comment, Mr. Franklin.
boy. Yeah.
And then
he terminated his tenure for his good work.
He was doing such a good job that he just decided, you know what, anyway. Oh my God, these people are so funny. Anyway, I'm sorry, Mr. Franklin. You do that to me sometimes. So
so I was trying to manage him. I was managing from behind. I would put him up on platforms to speak because he's a good speaker. And he appeared knowledgeable to me at the time. I realized that the knowledge that he has is peripheral and it to suit himself. But at that time, I was pushing him. When he first came to Owen Arthur's notice, I had put him up on the platform in Archall. Not Archall, Redmond Village. And when Arthur was supposed to speak that night, and they put him on the platform to speak. And when Arthur came to the meeting and heard him speaking, Owen Arthur wondered who was that boy. And that is when Arthur decided he's going to put him in the Senate. When he got it, he called me and thanked me. I was pushing his career. But when you're in a hurry, and when you're in a hurry, you do things like what he's doing now.
Yeah. Wow. It's good that people know who these, because I think everybody's saying it seems like election is close. So it's good to know. Read upon the background of these different candidates that they're going to put forward. It's important that we know who they are and who are these people. Get to know them that they're putting forward as candidates. I think we owe it to ourselves to do our research, right, Mr. Franklin?
Yeah, I hope now that you see who should not be a candidate. This man went on the radio and said something that he knows when he was saying it was not true. I have no difficulty with a person who mistakenly says something, but at the time when he was saying it, believe it was true. I don't have a problem with that. If I can come back and say no, it was wrong, made a mistake, I have a problem with a person who knows what he was saying was not true at the time he was saying it, but he still proceeds to say it. And that is where to my mind, Senator Nichols has found himself now, because he said he was not acting for the NCF in any capacity.
Well, you're telling me about it. I didn't hear it. What I did tonight, I just know that I was coming on here to talk to my viewers, because if it had happened to somebody else, I would say, come on the show and spend the time, to talk. So this is now our time to sit down and to show the audience all the letters, the facts, and let them judge for themselves. Because one thing I want to do, Mr. Franklin, when I close on the show, I can go and I sleep well, and I made sure I contacted the lawyers. I said, I want to hear the truth. What is the truth here? Because that's all that matters to me, is the truth. And so that's, I just shared what I know, and what I put on here for people could read for themselves, and they can determine, what they want to think from that. That's what I've done tonight. And I want to thank God for where we are in the process. It's a process, Mr. Franklin. We are in this process where Praise Academy is, where, and this is for the country. Oh, I didn't see Apostle there. I'm sorry, Apostle. We're here, and Apostle Scantlebury has joined us, because, as I was saying, Mr. Franklin, that it is more than just a Praise Academy thing. It is, I see it as something that is for people of all different faiths. That we should be willing to stand with the Rastafari community. If they feel that their religious rights are being taken from them, or their freedom of conscience and expression is being taken from them, we should be willing to stand up. I know a lot of you don't like Christianity. That's on my show, but that's not the point. The point is about justice and what is right, and we can stand together on that. Apostle Canterbury, welcome. Good night.
Well, good night to you too, ma'am. Great to be on the show again with you. Thank you so much. And congratulations to you and to your team. This, as I said to you, this is just the beginning. And Mr. Franklin, it's good to see you as well too.
Hello, and it's always good to see you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Apostle. So you would have, because you have been there with us. You prayed for us. You have advised us. You've been a listening ear to us.
Yes, ma'am.
And I thought yourself and Apostle Breedy, I sent her the link to say she's finished church in time and she can jump on. She could jump on as well if she's listening. Apostle Breedy, come on. Dr. Ferdinand Nichols, Apostle Durant has been there for us, and Pastor Paul Leacock. There's so many of them. And I want to publicly thank the pastors and the churches that have stood there with us. Family Faith Freedom Barbados as well. Thanks to them and all the leaders there. So, Apostle, I want to, as you read that today in the newspaper, and as we reflect on what's happening even worldwide, do you think?
Yes,
do you think that it's coming, that the day is coming when the church in Barbados will have to make a decision if they're going to stand up for their faith or they're going to be silent?
Yeah, I think that day is definitely here right now, coming out of the whole issue of COVID after so much information regarding the failure of it, and information even from Dr. Fauci about the whole.
Be careful! Don't go too much into, right? Yeah, go right ahead. Yeah, not yes.
I got you covered.
Yes,
I got you covered. They're at me just as much as they're at you. So yes. I got you covered.
Yes.
But I think coming out of the church again is making a grave mistake by being quiet. Okay. The church was quiet during COVID. They were quiet during the lockdowns. Much of the church agreed with what was happening. A lot of ministers advised their members to go ahead and be vaccinated. So it was more that the conspiracy actually crept into the church, and we believe man-made science more than we believe the word of God and the power of God. But now that we're at this point and I think recently the CMO was again making a plug that there's another more deadly variant here in Barbados. It's another scam. It's another activity of trickery and deceit that we have consistently seen from this administration and from those who are working with this administration to maintain the element of COVID. And Barbados became, possibly along with America, the only country that was continuing this effort of COVID. But again, there are going to be more churches and there are going to be more ministers that are actually speaking up now and speaking out. We're not going to get everybody, I can tell you that, but we're going to get more people than we did, pre-COVID. And even during COVID, we're going to get more ministers, more individuals that are going to be speaking up this time. I can tell you that for certain. I've had ministers that have reached out to me already in regards to what was said about this new variant. And I told someone it really doesn't sound, this XB1, it really doesn't sound like a variant to me. It sounds like somebody's number plate from Christchurch, actually. So You know, so again, I'm telling you honestly that there are going to be more individuals and more ministers that are going to stand up now. And I don't
think
think
so.
that this administration, I don't think they're ready for what they're going to face if they bring this at the Barbadians again. I don't think they're ready for the pushback that is going to come this time from the church. I think a lot of individuals have found out they've been lied to, they've been tricked, they've been deceived by this administration and by the whole plight of COVID and this scamdemic, as I like to call it. But I don't think the government is ready for the pushback that is going to come. I myself, I have way more information to bring to the public this time around about the government's involvement in COVID. I have more information about the fraternities that they have signed and became a part of that demanded that they push COVID. I have way more information about the whole COVID-19 plan, the whole issue of Wuhan, the whole element of the monies that were paid to media houses to keep them quiet. I have way more information about the activity, the silent and secret activity of government pre-COVID, during COVID, and post-COVID. So if they're ready, if they really want to bring this on, they can. But I guarantee you, they're not going to like the exposure that's going to come to them. If they decide that they're going to come back with COVID, I guarantee you, the CMO and the Mortley administration, they have no clue. They have no idea.
Yes.
They're going to be up against if they bring this nonsense again.
But, you know, as Peter Earl is saying, good night, Peter Earl. Peter MacD Earl is saying the church is focused on heavenly things like getting their members safely into heaven. Some believe there is a separation between the state and the church. And I'm listening to you, and I know that you don't believe that, but there are so many persons within the church, because even when we were considering, making a legal case of this matter, the biggest supporter we had was, like, at the beginning was Caswell and the people on this show. And Caswell would tell me, go for it, Marcia, people like yourself and so on. But there were quite a number of pastors and Christians who felt that we needed to pray about it and just leave it. And so I'm wondering, are we really ready to, we're seeing all the injustices by this government, like what has happened to us. It was unjust. Yeah. That whole conflict of interest. Is the church ready to speak up against injustice?
Yeah, well, as I said, not all of the church in Barbados, but there are more now. And I'm speaking from, my own personal perspective on this. There are more individuals that have said, Apostle, we can't let this happen again. Okay. And I think they're ready. I think, again, this government has no clue the type of pushback that they're going to encounter going forward again. With elements like, of course, what happened with you. Again, the church was quiet. The whole issue of the cyber crimes bill, again, the church was quiet. The element of, the disqualification of your team from NIFCA, the whole disenfranchisement of our people, the disrespect that we see, the sneaking of bills in and out of Parliament. I think right now there are a lot of ministers and quite a few ministers within even the denominational churches that are very, very serious about not letting anything like this happen again. So I can tell you for sure, not all of the church, but there's quite a lot of the church right now that will be speaking out going forward. So, my answer to your question is yes.
Yes, that you believe that they, and I hope it wouldn't just be because of, the new virus that probably will close down their churches, but that it's not, it's the injustices that we see in the country. The potential of the cybercrime bill. I think the church should have been leading the way as it relates to the cybercrime bill. I know I'm speaking to the choir, I'm preaching to the choir, because you have been out in the front. You've been on the truck. You've been on the protests yourself, Apostle Breedy, Dr. Ferdinand Nichols, and quite a number of other Summit church members. But we don't see a lot of the leaders. But I believe
Sure.
you if you say that they're ready to speak up now. I think that is wonderful. How about politics? Do we have any? What are anybody? I know you were involved in politics last in 2022. And there's lots of church people who felt that you shouldn't be. Are you still going to be involved in politics?
Yeah, as a minister of a growing church here in Barbados, you cannot say I'm a man of God and not be involved in politics. In my mind, there is no such thing as separation of church.
Why is that? Why is that?
Okay, because the church itself is a political entity. All right. We are supposed to be ushering in the kingdom of God. A kingdom is a political entity. So you can't say that we are separate from politics if, as the church, we are supposed to be ushering in the kingdom of God. The kingdom of God, according to the Bible, is supposed to dominate all nations of the world. Jesus Christ, according to what the Bible in Revelation teaches us, he's that son that is to rule all nations of the world with the iron scepter. So a ruler is a political figure. Okay, so you cannot say I am an apostle, a prophet, an evangelist, a pastor, a teacher, and I'm not political. It's that you're literally carrying a Mercedes-Benz logo and trying to convince folk that you're a Toyota. That's a waste of time. So many times what we're seeing over and over, and this is why I've put myself there, because I understand that a better Barbados will make things better for my members.
Yes.
Okay. And we cannot continue to have our countries being led by individuals who are moving the nation away from God, away from the things of God, away from faith in God, and expect that the nation is going to be better. I'll again, people are saying, I'm very critical, but I watched the speech given by our Prime Minister regarding the whole issue of crime in Barbados. If you go back and you listen to that speech, not one time as the leader of this country did she say that I denounce this level of crime and violence in Barbados. And that is one of the things that are critical when it comes to speaking to your nation about things like crime and violence. You must clearly state what your position is on the matter. And not one time in that speech did she say this level of crime and violence is not condoned in Barbados by myself or my administration. And I will not sit back and allow the public in Barbados to be put under this level of fear because of this level of violence that we're seeing in Barbados. Not one time. So, when you see things like that happening, you realize that there is some level of connectivity there. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of individuals who have spent enough time to pay attention to the reality of what we are dealing with in Barbados right now at the political level. And, the more that we try to say, listen, we're dealing with a dictatorship here right now. We're dealing with that level of political leadership. The more people become angry with you, but I am not the type of minister. I'm not afraid to be disliked. I'm not afraid of people's comments about me or anything like that. I know that for people to be better, things must get better. And I don't see anything becoming better currently in Barbados under this administration. So, I have to take my place not just as, a spiritual leader, but also as a political leader. In Barbados, I've ran here in St. Peter on 3 occasions now. I've done so because I wanted people to see the bigger picture. That is that you do not have to sit back and allow the country to keep going from one to the other, and then your nation is consistently going down the drain. So
Yes.
I put forward myself. I know other ministers have in the last 2 elections, but I'm very serious about my position in Barbados, and I'm not afraid to say what needs to be said. I'm not afraid to do what needs to be done to make sure that we are putting things in a better perspective here for the people in Barbados. So
Yes.
again, Madam Weeks, what we have to do is that we have to ignite our people now, not to be passive any longer, not to be quiet, not to allow injustice to go on, to become very vocal, to open their minds, open their hearts, to understand that as Barbadians, we are the ones who put the X next to their name. We're actually the boss.
Yes.
We're not the servants. And what Barbadians have done, Barbadians have allowed those who are supposed to serve us to become our rulers.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so this is where the onslaught of tyranny has come. And I don't think we're going to know all of the injustices of this administration until we have gotten them out. I think a lot of things are going to be hidden, and will remain hidden until there is a new government that can do the types of investigations. Because right now, a lot of the judiciary, a lot of the police, a lot of the other areas that are out there are under duress. They're under attack. People are afraid, and they'll sit back and they will let anything happen because they are afraid to act. And this is why I think it's very important for us to have individuals right now that can corral our people enough and encourage our people not to lash out in terms of violence and rioting and stuff, but that coming together in peaceful demonstration to send a very clear message to those who are currently leading our nation that we've had enough and we are not going to sit back and allow you to take our nation further down the drain.
But Apostle, my final question to you is, you're saying, and I think Mr. Franklin, I see him, he wants to say something, but let me just ask him this here, Mr. Franklin, and then I'll give you the final comment or question. You're saying that we're ready to take back, that this government needs to go, is what I'm hearing from you. And you're saying that as a man of the cloth, you're basing that on just what you're seeing, the injustices and the corruption and so on. But do Christians realize though the part that they could play? Because according to Google, Barbados is 76% made up of Christians. That works out to be about, if we look at it at calculated at 280,000 people, we're looking at about 212,800 people that say that they're Christians in Barbados or align with the Christian faith. Do we really understand the voting power that the church has, you think?
No, I don't think we understand that in terms of the nation. I think political parties understand that more than Christians do. And that's a pretty interesting figure that you gave there just now. But I am going to say this, that some years ago when I started campaigning, I was invited by a stalwart of the Democratic Labour Party. He invited me to his house for lunch. And he said, I've listened to you, and he said, I wish you were on our side. And he said these words to me. He said, have you realized that Christians love their political leaders more than they love their pastors? And I said, no, I haven't experienced that. He said, but you will. And I asked him, what is the hypothesis behind that? He said, when he was campaigning, that many times he would see Christians out on the campaign field with him. And he would ask them, and he would say to them, are you guys not supposed to be at church tonight? and they would tell him, okay, well, you know what? They will see us when the campaign is over. So that means that Christians are very, very into the political side of things. Okay. But in terms of the church now, the leadership of the church, the hierarchy of the church in Barbados, I don't think that dimension of the church is aware of the power that the Christian community has in Barbados.
76%, 212,000 people.
Okay. So I don't think we are aware of that. I don't think we are aware of that. And again, the other problem that we have is that Christians are still split between the two parties. So the Christian vote is not about the future. That's one of the problems that I've seen and I've realized about Christians in terms of their vote. Their vote party, they don't vote future. Okay. And what we need right now, again, in the last 30 years of governance in Barbados, there was never a vision that was presented to the people of Barbados to tell us exactly where we're going to be when we are finished in the next 5 years. There's never been a vision. And without a vision, according to what the scripture says, you're going to perish. So we're perishing because the current dimension of government we have, they've never presented the people of Barbados with a vision. The church and the Christian community, they vote party, they don't vote vision, because they don't understand the future is what our children will live in. And if we are not serious about creating a future Barbados, then we are already amputating the future from our children. I mean, you can lose your hair and buy some hair. You know, you can lose a car, get another car. You can lose a leg, get a prosthetic leg. But the reality is that when you have amputated the future from the people, there's no prosthetic for that. When your future is gone, then you're ripe for deletion. Okay. And this is what the Christian community has to understand now. I'm not voting because my dad or my mom, who are Christians or were Christian, voted for this party all along. We must understand, we must vote for the future, and we must vote for a solid Barbados, a prosperous Barbados, that our children will have an opportunity to do well in. So I think that is part of the message that we must get to Christians in this season, to help them move away from the same old cosmology and consciousness of thought behind voting and behind getting, behind a party or behind a political leader. And so that day is up. That day is up. I've seen that on the Ornather. I saw Ornather's picture across Barbados more than the actual candidate. Okay. I saw Mayor Motley did the same thing. It was this whole idea that you're not voting for a party, you're voting for a person. Okay. And I'll tell you this, I know that some of the ministers, one of the reasons why you're not hearing them is because they're totally frustrated with the style of leadership, with the behavior of the leadership. And on one case, I was told that a media house was told by a minister, if you want any information, call the prime minister. Okay, so even on that level, and I'll tell you this, and this is not, I was at a funeral recently, and I was passing, and there were some gentlemen talking, and while I walked past these gentlemen who were talking, one of the guys said, I heard the fellows on the block said to send more money, and no money was passed, so that's why the violence is escalating. So it's not that the community and the public, they're unaware of what's happening. Okay. And besides what is happening on a community level, the information that is being passed on a community level is getting back even to this administration. And I've had the opportunity, as you know, to speak with Mr. Thorne, over about the condition of Barbados and how things are. I think someone recently asked there on the show if I'm going to be a candidate again in the upcoming election. And yes, I do actually plan to put forward myself again in an upcoming election, because our people need an alternative.
I must congratulate you. You must. Let me congratulate you and support you in that. Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I think our people really need very strong support. They need strong governance in this season, and we can't go any further in our nation until the church catches sight of the true nature of what our role is. And I've read the Bible over and over. Jesus is, an amazing political figure. So is Daniel. So is Joseph. So is David. So is Solomon. So is Job. If you read Job carefully, Job tells us that he was the mouthpiece for the princes. He sat at the gate and he taught wisdom to the people. So, I mean, you cannot separate the church from the area of politics. And any man of God or any woman of God who believes that, I can be, actually, separate, let me use that term, from politics. You're actually joking. Okay. In ministry, we deal with current affairs. We deal with marital problems. We deal with economic problems. We deal with folk who are unemployed. We're dealing with sicknesses and diseases and problems, and we're constantly, the church is dealing with all of the issues that the government is dealing on a larger scale. So you can't say that I'm not political when you're already dealing with political issues. All of the issues that the government deals with on a macro level, as a man of God, we deal with on a micro level. So you cannot say that there's any such thing as separation of church and state. It's an absolute waste of time to believe that can be a possibility.
Yes. Oh wow, very, very well said. And I must say that we congratulate you on being, I mean, just who you have been. You've stood up for so many different things in this country and have led the way. So I am fully supporting you as a candidate in the next election. Yes, Mr. Franklin, over to you, sir.
Well, I was listening to Apostle Buddy, and especially when he first started, I was hoping that he would steal my thunder, but because he was speaking about this new variant, the Christchurch license.
I'm careful. I want to keep my channel from the Barbados people. This is a Barbados, so watch you say.
I'm very cautious.
Yeah.
But my understanding is that this didn't happen suddenly. We knew about this variant since January. All right. And they allowed Cricket World Cup. They allowed pick of the crop.
Yes.
They allowed soccer 5.0.
Yes, correct.
Where, by the way, Marcia, 62% of the tickets were given away free.
Okay.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
62%. They wanted people there to show they got big numbers. So this will have an effect. Or you give me a free ticket to soak up 5.0, I can vote for you. You see what's happening? Marshall, Montana, okay, they brought him in, and of course Rihanna was there. Both of whom were met by the Prime Minister and the CEO of the NCF, while neither of them met the President of Barbados when she went to the pick of the crop. But Marshall Montana is a bigger celebrity in Barbados than the president, and so too is Rihanna. But the point.
What you're saying that they met. You're hearing this, Apostle? That your
crazy.
Prime Minister, and your CEO of your NCF, they met Rihanna and Marshall and did not meet the president.
Yeah,
that's
really?
That's crazy.
They were not there, but they found time to be there to meet and greet Marshall and meet and greet the people who I understand 62% of them did not purchase the tickets. They were given away for free because they wanted numbers there to infect them.
Right.
That's all they got. Because and then immediately after, the day after 5.0, you hear people say,
Correct.
So what happened in that 24-hour, well, not even 24-hour period, that 12-hour
Right.
period that would make them come to a conclusion that we should wear masks when they weren't wearing masks at Soccer 5.0, or we weren't wearing
Right.
masks at the pick of the crop, or we weren't
Correct.
wearing masks all through
Good
World
point.
Cup. These people are playing with our lives and
Yes.
lying to us. And I do not understand why the Barbadian people would feel that these people, well, look, Marcia, let me stop there because she says she only pretends to care about people.
Yep. It's a
You
number
know?
plate for Christ Church. That's all I can tell you.
And this shows that it's only she, a lot of them only pretend they care about people. Because if we knew of that variant so far back, and we allow all these mass gatherings,
Right.
hoping that the people will get infected, but then all of a sudden, you're going to come and tell me the day after the last mass gathering, oh, you know, you should really wear a mask because this thing is flaring back up again. And this one is real deadly this time. It was real deadly from January.
Right.
There's no August. 7 months. And they kept everything down because they had an agenda. They had an agenda for entertainment.
Yep.
Walking up and getting on bad and letting lyric, walk up behind the Prime Minister. And all kinds of things happening in Barbados. Shameful, bad behavior. You know, people say, you should respect the office. I am saying that the person who holds the office should respect it first. You know?
Yeah.
If you're holding the office,
I agree.
I would love to hear the pastor. I'm so glad you brought that up, Mr. Franklin. Hear the pastor give his views and what are the views of other pastors of what the Prime Minister allowing Little Rick to walk upon her. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I've seen that before. It's just outrageous. I think Little Rick has reached the point where his consciousness of what constitutes respect for public leadership is no longer there. And I think also the Prime Minister, in her effort to be loved by the public, has degraded herself into what she believes the public wants to see or where they. Now, mind you, this is the same lady who took communion just a week ago before. Okay, this is the same lady who took communion. This is the same lady who. This is the same lady who took the body and the blood of the Lord just a few weeks. Yeah, no, it's this is shocking. So when you really pay attention to this, I think the level of disrespect. The point is, you ask yourself, show me another world leader who is doing this and who's done it consistently with the same individual over and over. Okay, they have to understand the world is watching Barbados. World leaders are watching Barbados, and this is video that's going worldwide. And if this is what we can see our leader doing on the national stage, during a time when they're saying we have this very deadly variant, it tells us something about her. And I don't even want to go back to the whole situation with Hurricane Beryl, because you should have been getting your nation ready 24 hours before you were told a Category 4 hurricane is approaching your island. And you still went and had a World Cup 24 hours, which means you were not interested in your people being ready for this. You were not interested in those fishermen being ready, their boats being in a safe position. Now we have the fact of this level of behavior that in her mind, this is how my people want me to be. Okay? Bad enough, you don't see the national hero, Rihanna, behaving like that on a stage with any of the other performers here in the island. So I think what we're dealing with is a level of disrespect coming from Mr. Little Rick or Hyper Dog or you know, whatever his name is. This is your leader, and you should be at a level of respect to say, Madam Prime Minister, I understand where we are. I understand what this is about, but you are my Prime Minister. I respect you. I can't do this. So we've lost a very high level of consciousness in the area of respect and who should be honored. And honor should be given to whom honor is due. But when those who deserve honor have thrown away the need to stand in the place of honor, that is the type of behavior that they would get themselves into. That's the type of behavior that they would allow individuals to give to them in order to please the crowd. And basically everything that this administration has been doing, all of it has been focused on pleasing Barbadians, to make Barbadians believe we're just, like you. I'm the type of leader, I'm the type of prime minister that I'm down to earth. That's not being down to earth. That is disrespecting yourself. And Mr. Franklin spoke about the gatherings that they've had, knowing, and this is when the CMO should have been speaking, right after cricket, during Cricket World Cup, leading up to the Crop Over Festival. This is when he should have highlighted Bajans about what was happening, and then right afterwards, you come and put this scare on Barbadians. And the reason why I said not all of the churches, just Sunday, I was leaving World Harvest, and I was, on my way home, and I actually saw individuals leave a church wearing masks, and there's no mask mandate as yet, but the Christians are already out wearing masks, and this is what I mean by individuals not putting themselves in the right perspective to be a part of our nation moving forward. They consistently keep falling prey to the traps and the tricks and the nets and the snares of the enemy, and we need people who can get our people out of those zones of thought, out of those zones of consciousness, get them strong enough that they can do more and allow themselves to experience more in this season. So we'll do what we have to do, and I promise you, they have no idea what's coming to them if they try to pull this stunt on Barbadians again. I promise them.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Miss Apostle Scanterbury. And you're one apostle. We have to say, Mr. Franklin is on the road with us wherever he's involved, and I think that is awesome. Is there anything else you wanted to ask Miss Apostle Scanterbury, Mr. Franklin, before he goes? You're muted, Mr. Franklin.
Yeah, sorry, but I not really. I just wanted to say something to you after this thing.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Apostle Scanterbury, for joining us. And we have Mr. Tobias Worrell is going to be here talking to us about the the cost of living. And I hope you will still listen, because one of these days, because you talk about all these other things, I would love to hear you on this topic as well. But we'll invite you back. Thank you so much.
Yes,
and say hi to the church and your wife for me, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Prophetess Canterbury.
Yeah, I'm certain she's listening, and just want to say thank you so much for the invitation to be on your show tonight. It's always great to see you. Look lovely as usual.
Oh, thank you.
Please say hello to your husband Dave for me. Yeah, give him my regards. Mr. Franklin, it's always good to see you and have a chance to hear you and laugh with you. Stay strong. We're keeping you guys in our prayers.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
I need all the prayers I can get.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Apostle. Thanks for all the encouragement and the prayers. God bless you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes. Bye-bye. Yes, Mr. Franklin. We actually have Mr. Tobias Worrell here. Let me see. Ooh, is he still here? Mr. Worrell? Can you hear? Okay. In the meantime, while he gets his device working, Mr. Franklin, go right ahead,
No,
sir.
I wasn't in from the beginning, but I had some very good news out of Dublin today. I hope you will share it with the people. You know,
Well, I didn't get to. I know it's about Kimar. I was telling him thank you. I mean, I'm blessing him and so on. So tell us. Go ahead.
I was so happy. Kimar is doing wonders, and people say they're putting Barbados on the map. Well, we're putting this in Ireland because Kimar goes out there. Alternate views now. Let me find the particular um thing that he sent. And you would have it, Marcia.
It's where was it? I just it was he put it out yesterday. Keep talking. I'm gonna search for it.
He, Kimar is making Barbados proud. He's going to Ireland, and his book and his program, Alternate Views, and the book and Alternate Views, the podcast, have been given some recognition internationally.
Excellent.
And I am so proud of that
Excellent.
young man, Marcia. I when I saw it, I felt a little queasy in my stomach. I said, "Oh Lord," I felt good. I felt a little flattered. I said, "I'm so proud."
Yes,
You,
yes,
you know,
yes.
I have children all in Kmart, so when I see how he is doing, I can only sing his praises.
Yes, yes. I'm looking for it. We wanted. I mean, let me see if Dave has what we have is a picture. I seen the picture with the flag. I'm looking for it. I'm looking for it as you speak. I'm not getting Tobias not joining, but we want to see the young people continue to thrive. I want to see them grow. We're seeing. I mean, when you see there are others that he's also inspiring. We see Don, we see Shaquani, we see all of the others, and actually next week Monday, they are going to take over the show, and Kimar wouldn't even be on the show, but I'm sure they would have been inspired by him in some way
Well, I am
or the
inspired.
other.
I am inspired by him. You know,
Yes.
I don't make. Normally people say you don't give all these accolades to young people because they can turn around and bite you. But like how Rihanna has bitten us, by giving her national hero, and then walking around the place doing crap. But Kimar is an exceptional young man. The only thing about that speech he gave today, he said high school St. Michael's. You know what I mean.
And I saw.
But I can
I'm
forgive him
trying
for
to.
that.
Yes, I'm trying. I'm trying to find it. There's so many things that come in that chat that it's so hard to
But
actually
let me
find
let
it.
me let me send it to you then.
Oh yeah, send it and send it to Dave. Send it to Dave. But as we are doing that, and remember, those of you, if you've not bought Kimar's book, you can he's I'm hoping he should have copies. But you can search for alternate views online. Okay, and as I've been telling you, Kimar is off for the month of August, or most of August. He's off. I couldn't say at the time that he was away. He was going away because he didn't tell me to tell you all that. But I've been saying that he's away. Dr. Ferdinand, who had a birthday yesterday, Dr. Ferdinand Nichols, happy belated birthday. We didn't know that it was his birthday, but happy belated birthday to Dr. Ferdinand Nichols. Now, we did promise you that in the last half hour that we would have you come on to the show. So just let me do that. That if you can come on, the link is here. Um, right? I think there were people that wanted to join this evening, and so I'm going to put the link here for you to join, because I did promise that, and I don't want to not do that. Oops. Okay, so here is the link. Here's the
I
link,
also I
and
also sent the thing to Dave. I also sent the thing to Dave.
Yes, yes. Okay. All right. Yes. Okay. So let me see if Mr. Tobias is ready. Guys, if you want to talk, tell us your experience of the high cost of living in Barbados. You know what? I had a whole thing prepared for you guys on the taxes. I will do that on Friday. I had a whole presentation. I'm seeing Tobias's face. Good evening, Tobias. Good evening, Tobias. Good evening, Mr. Worrell. He was so very good the other night, and people wanted him to come back. I think we're gonna have to help him with his technicals. I don't know what is happening there. Those of you who want to come on to the show, as I promised, please copy the link and come on. If Tobias wants to come off and try without his camera, that might be helpful. If you want to try without the camera, would be helpful to see if that works. Again, those of you who want to join the show to speak about your situation, what is happening for you in Barbados. How are you dealing with the high cost of living? Or you might be fine. Some people might say, well, I don't have a problem. All is well with me. All is fine with me. That's fine. You can tell us how you're getting through. Let's have that. Mr. Franklin, how are you dealing with the high cost of living, or that's not a problem for you? You're muted.
It is an extreme problem for me. And by the way, today I came out of the bank and a young man came to me, somebody, and he said, Mr. Franklin, this is to help some people. And he gave me $50,
Mm-hmm.
to help the people. So he recognized that people got to give a little bit because it is rough. It is very rough out there, Mark. You go to market and you see people putting back things that, and the things are so pittance, and it hurts your heart. It's only my wife now and Max and snore sometimes, and Max is the other dog. So but we eat more of the ground provisions than anything else. We don't
Mm-hmm.
like the processed food and stuff. So we get by. But
Hmm.
even though the ground provisions are becoming now pretty steep,
Yes.
you know.
Yes, I mean, we too, we eat a lot of grown provision, and really it's quite expensive, quite expensive
Yeah.
to eat
We,
that kind of way.
well, my wife she eats fish. She doesn't eat meat, and I eat the meat for both of us, and that could be a bit thing because the meat is expensive too. When you get and thing if you go and buy a little chicken, sometimes they say this thing still got its mother's features. It's real small, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and you buy a little chicken that's $25, $26, and you can't. I don't understand, like they don't let them get a little bigger because they get a little bigger. My God, sell them more expensive, and people can't afford them.
Yes, yes, yes. It's pretty tough, and as we were saying that when you think about um you know the kind of the sicknesses that we encounter. I'm seeing Tobias again. I lost my train of thought. I'm trying to get him in, but let's see, he's still stuck. Hi,
But
Tobias.
we have Kimar there, so we can thank
Yes,
Kimar.
I know. I'm just trying to see, since he's there, to see if he's going to be able to come in. He needs, if you're listening, you need to connect your mic and your camera, because people have asked me for him to send me messages. He was fantastic the other night. Okay, Dave, go ahead and play a little bit. How long is the video? Anybody
It's
know?
only 1 minute and 51 seconds, 2 minutes.
I got a message from go ahead, Dave, please.
Good morning, all. I am Kumar Stewart, and I'm reporting to you live from Dublin, Ireland, at the Emergent Ventures Conference. We're here on the sidelines, and I wanted to say thank you guys very much for your support. Alternate Views, the book and podcast, has been selected as one of the transformative emergent ventures. Uh, which was a short list for persons all over the world. So we've been recognized as a leader in economic development and a leader of transformative social change. So we just wanted to update you and let you know what was going on. So we attended the conference and we want to acknowledge all of those persons who have supported alternate views. And I wish to say thank you to you all and to acknowledge persons like Mr. Linder Calendar, Miss Margot Trent Calendar, uh, Dr. Dennis Lowe, and all of those other persons who would have contributed to alternate views. So I just want to update you, the Barbadian public, as to the alternate views being selected as a global thought driver, and say that I wish to express my utmost gratitude to you all who watched Alternate Views and who bought Alternate Views book. I'm doing my country proud, and I'm doing my school, the St. Michael School,
See?
uh, very proud. So I thank you guys very much, and I look forward to your continued support of Alternate Views, the brand. So goodbye, and
He's
thank
got the
you all
book
very
there.
much. I will update you as time go on. But Kimar Short, live from Dublin, Ireland. Thank you very much.
You know, Marcia, when a young person does something to bring recognition to this country, they usually go to the airport and meet them, ministers and all kind of stuff. Well, I'm hoping to see the minister responsible for economic affairs meet Kimar and congratulate them at the airport and have him more get done like everybody else. You know,
I'm sure he's gonna come back and tell us all about it, and the people are all congratulating him. Volume? Whose volume? We can't hear. Whose volume? It's low. But to congratulate him, we talk a lot about the young men that are, we see them doing a lot of things, in society, hurting each other, killing each other, all kinds of things. But then we have so many of them that are doing positive things. And so we want to be able to congratulate them when we see all of this that is happening. I think that we need to congratulate them, definitely, definitely, definitely. When we see this is happening to them, there's another young man that has completely changed his life, and he sang a calypso. I can't remember the name of it now, but his name was Coco. He was Coco, and he is now, went into a life of crime after he won Junior Monarch, and you see him changing his life. And these are the stories, that we need to make a big thing about it. The Kimars and the Leacocks, the Don Leacock and Shaquani and Theory Gittins and all of them. Janine Butcher, can't forget her, Timon, and all of them. I think that we need to make sure that we, just always give them room and give them space. And that's what we're doing on Monday, Monday at 7 o'clock, giving them a platform for our, what they call them, the Gen Zs and the millennials. They will have that platform that they can come and share their thoughts, and what's on their minds, etc. And Tobias is still, it's not still not working out for him. Yeah, yeah. Still not working out for him. Mr. Franklin, I saw, see, nobody's coming on. My Bajan friends aren't coming on. To what was this person saying here? Miss Weeks, don't encourage people to come in here telling lies. You're telling some, if you ain't suffering, call and say how you're getting through. Unless they're rich, some will come with enough made up stories. Well, I mean, we can't assume that everybody is, that all is, everybody's is having it hard. Some people might say, well, I'm not having any problems, right?
Well, I having problems with the light bill. I having problems with telephone bill. I having problems with water bill. I look at my water bill and they go outside looking for leaks because the things just keep going up and up and up and up. I don't find no leaks. So I was one of them thing. And I can't cut back on my showers. I can't cut back on bed. I don't know what's going to happen next.
Yes. Yeah, it is but I was looking. I will deal with it. I'm not going to even bring it up now because we're only 10 minutes, and I think I will leave it for Friday. But I would love for people, for homework, is to begin to review the number of taxes that we are paying, right? Review the number of taxes that Barbadians are required to pay. Take a look at it. I want you to take a look at it. It's amazing. It's almost like they sit down, Mr. Franklin, and they just come up with another one. And
But
we don't ask any questions, we just pay it.
but you know what happened? We used to have a lot of taxes, and they said we're going to implement something called VAT and get rid of
Mm.
all those taxes. So they did just exactly that. They got rid of a lot of taxes and put in VAT.
How long ago did that happen?
That was in 1996 to start in January 1997.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, they have been creeping back up with these taxes by different names. So now you have a tax to replace all taxes and VAT, and then you start bringing additional taxes. So it's like you are being taxed from the cradle to the grave. You pay tax on everything. You pay tax on your income.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go out and take the rest of that income that was already taxed and go and buy something, and then you're taxed again on that something that you go and buy. You go and buy gasoline. It has several taxes in it, excise tax, all kind of taxes in it. You pay that. Then they turn and they say, okay, good. We are not going to give you a road tax, but then they start charging you more at the pump. So the road tax was not put brand new. Half as much money as this 40 cents per liter or whatever it is charging. They come up with they find all conceivable ways to bring in new taxes, despite the fact that it is this BLP who pushed, but both parties pushed it because it was being processed under the Democratic Labour Party. And then when I was it was a good idea, and they got rid of a whole set of taxes. Now these taxes are coming back. We are taxed. If look at something, I can't think of anything that is not taxed. You pay national insurance out of the salary that was taxed. Because once before you used to pay national insurance and then they tax the rest. Right? No, they're taxing the money first, your entire income first, before you pay national insurance. And then when you get a national insurance benefit, they tax the benefit now too. So when you national insurance now reports to Brad that you got sickness benefit, a sickness benefit that you paid for out of the taxes, the money that you have already been taxed.
Mm-hmm.
I remember some time ago in England, I don't know if it's still the case. If you buy a lotto ticket, the lottery they call it,
Right.
you pay a tax on the ticket, and if you win, you didn't pay any tax on the winnings. Now, if you didn't pay the tax, when the winnings come, so everybody will go and pay the tax on the £2 they pay the ticket for. Because if you win £1 million, you don't want to pay the tax on £1 million. This kind of all right. My riding bicycle days are over, not because I'm so unfit, but I'm frightened to go on the road even with a car. You see these mad people? Only this morning, I saw Heinz transport truck, a big truck that transporting fuel or something, drive through the lights by Oxnards. Come across Oxnards Road to you go to turn left and go Heinz Hill, turn right to go University. He was coming up from University. The lights had changed. 3 vehicles ahead of him went through the lights while they were still green, and he come through too. So you really feel like I'm going to go on a bicycle with these kind of mad people? No, so I used to love to ride bicycles. When I was younger, I would get on my bicycle on a Saturday mornings, and I would ride. Next thing you see me up at the airport from Whitehall, St. Thomas. Then the next week I'll be in St. Lucie. I used to ride from Whitehall to National Insurance. It was all well and good because it was all down, you know. You didn't get sweaty. On the way back up, you had to really ride. So of course you go on, but you can be sweaty and change your shirt the next day, but change the clothes the next day. So I used to do a lot of riding. You can't do it now. And then you're trying to miss a pothole in the Caribbean, you don't miss you. I would love to be able to go back riding again, but it is dangerous because all of the taxes that we are paying, they're not fixing the roads with them. So I don't know. I will, and candles and bed every 2 days. Well, I'm a big fellow. I can't afford it every 2 days.
Listen, the gas, as somebody said, the gas is not lasting. They were saying that how are you dealing with that, Mr. Frank? Because you put in the gas.
No, you are not. Look, when you put $100 in gas in your car, you put more taxes than gas in your car. You know, cars do not run on taxes. You got a whole set of taxes that go in the tank too. So when you put $100, you only put a little bit of gas and thing. You know, I did a fellow when I was at the gas pump, just ready to move in. The fellow come in front of me, and the attendant was saying, "No, you can't leave it there before you." I said, "Laughing, that fellow, some people behave like that. He ain't really put a lot of gas in your car. He put $8. Yeah, I say, you see, if you drink $8 in gas, it will not hurt your stomach because you pay more taxes." I don't know how he can get from the gas station only $8 because they can only pay 200 yards down the road with $8 in gas. That is the problem. Everything is taxed. So people say, "Oh, the gas ain't lasting." No, the tax lasting. Because we put in the tank. I remember when we first got this car, this Suzuki Swift, $100 couldn't fill it. No. I put in $168  2 days ago, right?
Wow.
And I couldn't hold $100 when I first got it.
And that was wow. How many years ago was that?
Hundreds of, let me see. Car is about 7 or 8 years, I think it is now.
It could have hold 100, and look at it now, 168.
And it held 168. And I think it only held 168 because the tank was not empty. So we were topping up. You know, it was like not by a quarter. You know,
right.
It was not by a quarter. So you're putting taxes, not gas. And we need to ask the government what they're doing with our monies. Because we are paying too much taxes and too many taxes. And then we are not seeing what we're paying the taxes for. You remember when government, in a Swift 168 2 days ago.
Wow. This is, go ahead, Mr. Franklin.
You know, when the government came up with all this taxes thing, I remember the taxes were for education, health, roads. Basically, those were the things that the government provided. And of course, they had whatever else, but these were the main things. Now you are paying a health levy. So your tax should have come down because what was factored in the tax up front was health.
Which one was health before?
No. Before the taxes that we collect, that the government
I see what you're
collected,
saying. That
they,
that
they, they,
health
they were
was
collected for tax to pay for
health. I
health.
got you.
It was for education,
Mm-hmm.
transport, and works. Those were the main areas that our taxes were supposed to cover.
Mm-hmm.
Now you are paying a health levy on your income. Everybody that earns an income, the national insurance collects money from you. And then you're
Mm-hmm.
also paying 40 cents a liter to fix the roads. So you have actually been taxed twice for health and for road maintenance.
Right, because the taxes were supposed to originally supposed to go to that.
You have to cover those things.
I tell, but look at even the roads that they said, okay, it is to fix the petrol tax is to fix the roads, but then they just have to borrow the money to fix the roads so the mill and pave.
That's my understanding. So I was asking where that money gone. Well, it will probably go to help make settlements with the NCF and whoever else to join them. You never know. Um,
Well,
so
we will pick up on this on Friday, and then we will see you on Sunday, Mr. Franklin. Well, we just thank you so much for joining tonight. You weren't due to be on tonight, but this topic was so up your street, that I told Mr. Murray and I, because he's normally on a Wednesday, and he said Caswell is better fit, for it. So we appreciate you taking the time off for being here with us, and we look forward to seeing everybody again on Friday. Hope you had a great night. But my Bajan people, man, I need you to come on the show. We need you on. I've left the space for you, and you're still not coming on. We need you to come on to the show and to speak. Very important. Remember, you've got to stand up. You've got to speak out. You got to open the mouth. We are the opposition. We are the opposition that we need. We can't sit and wait on anybody else. Nobody's coming to save us. It's us. Okay? We are who we need. Mr. Franklin, a last word to tell the people. Talk to them about being bold and speaking up.
Before I do that, I want to say to you that we have 1,000 people, actually, right now, 1,075 people on, and we only have 303 likes. So I'd like a little bit more. I beg you to like me.
Yeah.
Look, what Barbadians fail to understand, or probably don't understand it, but they're fearful. Bullies thrive when people are afraid of them. And we have a lot of bullies from all around our society at the top, but not at the very top, because I don't see the president as being a bully. But we have all type of bullies in this place. And because you're afraid of the bullies, they are able to keep you down. Stand up. And you got to stand up, and you got to stand up together. Because one man by himself can be broken. But when you stand up in numbers, they respect you. That is why the government under Mayor Motley has gone after the trade unions and have brought them home. Because the unions, if the Democrat Labour Party were in power and the country was performing the way it is now, we would have had strikes and marches all over the place, and we wouldn't got. But now we have people naming a customs building after one of the most hated people by customs officers. Customs officers do not like that man. They still don't like him. And he had a few guards in customs, and next thing, and it is an insult to customs officers to name a building after a man that customs don't like. You have, but mind you, BW had a few customs guards, but that was it. The customs officers were in NUPW, and now a whole set of them are with me and with NUPW. I don't want them naming after me. I certainly don't think, but we had good, outstanding controllers of customs that you could have named that building after. And you're going to name a man that was hated by customs officers. Lord help us.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's so much going on. We're going to pick up on all of these things. You'll hear Mr. Caswell on Sunday, and I'm going to be on Friday, along with Rose Corbin. That's her day as well, Friday. And I will see who else will be able to come on Friday. With you, hoping that Tobias, you messaged me and you wanted Tobias to be back on. He said he's going to try his best again for Friday. For those of you who want to know much more about the case with Praise Academy, you could go to the marciaweekshow.com, to my website, which I have not been pushing the website as often as I should push the website. But you can go to the website and you will be able to see more on the case with NCF, Praise Academy, and NCF. You will be able to get a lot more information. This is a newsletter that is here, and you will be able to know much more. Okay, you can go ahead and put your email in if you want to get newsletters from us. Well, I think it's once a month the newsletters are out, and so you'll be able to get newsletters. All right, so go ahead and join up. The marciaweekshow.com on the website, you will be able to find lots of information there. Kimar's book is there also on the website if you want to purchase alternate views as well. Okay, all righty, guys, God bless you all. Have a great night. Sleep well, and we see you on Friday. All right, guys. Oh, I can't touch anything there. David.
English. Pretending to be good. Hey, pretending to be good. Just pretending to be good. Hey, pretending to be good. Hey, just pretending to care about people. 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 Pretending. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. I'm pretending to be good. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people. And I'm pretending to be good at maths nor English. I just pretending to care about people.
We can never get tomorrow. Tell me that it's suffering done. Me attack the vote and let me down. Me attack the vote and let me down. She did only want little dealing, big contracts and not corruption. Me attack the vote and let me down. Me attack the vote and let me down. Barbados is too small for me. My pocket full, now you and job they promise me. And a girl like me want power and more money. You cry transparency, but that's a no for me. Promise us a better tomorrow. Tell me that it's suffering done. Me attack the vote and let me down. Me attack the vote and let me down. She did only want little dealing, big contracts and not corruption. Me attack the vote and let me down. Me attack the vote and let me down.
Good night. Sleep well.